Right, Nas. Do you remember what happened?
Yes. We started when Nero woke up from his hypersleep, correct?
I believe that's true. Yeah, that sounds about
Yes.
right.
What the fuck's a hypersleep?
So Nero got bitten by a sepia snake sigil, which is
Yeah,
a trap.
you gotta cover that for me because like I have read nothing in this book.
Okay, so
Like for
we
the
went
last 2 months, nothing.
Okay, so this is, I'll give you the short version. The short version is we went to Sonara to steal back Fex's books because we knew that they were doing some kind of crazy research into devils and gates and whatever. Nero divines that, hey, the only thing is that you can't teleport in there because there's some sort of trap or some sort of field that'll prevent it, whatever. So we teleport outside, we walk over, we shift a hole in the wall, we go in, Iwin puts up a pit that Hound Archon falls in. We kill some other thing that comes in as Nero's packing up books. And Iwin decides she doesn't like this lion thing being close to her and decides to teleport. And gone. So we're like, all right, well, that was our ride. Maybe she's outside. Oh, fuck, she's not outside. So Nero casts haste, cleric haste, and we basically beat a fast retreat out of there, and we've been stuck in Sonara ever since. To make things worse, Nero looks over the notes briefly, and one of the notes has a trap in it, a magical trap, and the magical trap freezes him in place so that he can't move, and he's in a shimmering field of energy. He's like, he could be harmed, but he doesn't need to eat, sleep, or breathe. So basically, he's just like a lump.
Stasis.
Yes, correct. So hilarity ensues as Dern and Bob try to get him loose. They fail multiple times with Dispel Magic. They bring in a Cleric of Iomade who fails to get him loose with Dispel Magic. They finally Dern gets a call from his handler and is like, hey, you need to be back here now. And he's like, hey, I'm actually in Sonara. I'm kind of jammed up. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. Get back here now. So he buys a teleport scroll, comes back to Bob and says, good news and bad news. Do you want the good news or the bad news? Bob says, I want the good news. And he's like, bad news is I'm out of here. Good news is that I got you this scroll. Bye. And he poofs out with the books and gets them out of town. And Nero finally gets loose. In the meantime, Iwin's been in this pit for a week in darkness. She has some very serious angel who she's working on. Basically like, hey, this is why we should bust out of here. This is why you should let me loose. And the angel's like, yeah, I'm not having it. And she's like, yeah, but you're okay with just holding me indefinitely without a trial? You're cool with that? And he's like, I mean, no, but
Yeah.
so she's doing that. Dern goes back to Igorian and is doing a poor job of tailing people and alerting the whole slave network or whatever that basically he's looking for stuff. He last time.
Is he looking for Arden? Because he better be looking for Arden.
Does he know Arden? I don't think he knows.
He's not. He's not looking for Arden. He's looking for the barrister.
The barrister, yeah. So his handler down here basically told him that the Bellflower Network, like the abolitionists, is a group of halfling and human abolitionists in Cheliax, are operating in Igorian. They were thought to have been driven out like decades ago, but apparently a new cell has started up. And the only tip they had is the barrister, this one-handed woman that operates out of a building called the Clerk's Cloister. That's all they had. And I think Blissey might have actually mentioned the barrister to you. I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah,
she mentioned something about about them trying to convince them to break loose.
Correct. Yeah, they were in Sonara before Sonara fell, and they had approached Blissey and the Halflings of the Manor, and they all refused them. They said, "We're happy where we are. We don't need to be free." But yeah, so the same sort of thing. Basically, Dern heard the same thing. I mean, they said, "This is the barrister. This is all we know about her," and they wanted Dern to follow and kind of learn more about it. They don't want her to rip her head off because they need to learn. They want to know. They need to dig out the whole cell. But Dern's more of a kill and eat people kind of guy, and not a follow people around stealthily kind of guy.
I see you, Bob.
So he basically broadcasts to a bar full of people who he's looking for, then follows her poorly, then talks to her and spooks her, and then she lets the cell know that, hey, she's being followed. And Dern happens to find this out by shaking down a small halfling child. and
Hell
like,
yeah. I'm proud of it.
basically back and forth
Slap that kid
intimidating.
right up.
Hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to eat you if you lie to me, but don't worry about it. It's cool. And then in Sonara, Bob and Nero did some tooling around, got some scrolls of teleport, are looking for someone to cast the scroll. We found out more about the tiefling network that's going on there that's causing an uprising. We missed out on a battle that we probably should have been in. But Nero has made some friends in that group. And we basically were looking for someone to cast this scroll. We ended up in the southeast part of the Low District in a tiefling-only bar. We found a guy who might maybe possibly be able to cast it. And as we were about to leave, Wami Tingles comes walking in.
Oh, snap.
Who's Wami Tingles?
Wami Tingles is the head of a group of thieves, like a thieves guild that basically Iwan screened out and fucked before we left town.
He's the heart of the thieves.
Like you banged him?
No, he's just the heart of the thieves.
Oh, she screwed him. Like screwed him. Yeah, okay.
Iwan basically yelled out that they did something that we did, and made sure that somebody heard it, and then they got rooted out by the Glorious Reclamation, and basically got somebody turned and ratted on everyone else. And so they're all on the run because they got ratted out.
They've been garbage since losing Wami Tingles.
All right.
I was muted.
Wami is the bomb.
Wait. So does Wami know Iwan did that?
You don't know. He just walked in the door and we stopped the last.
Correct.
Oh, snap. Cliffhanger. All right.
Yeah. So
Did you not watch the recordings, Chris?
No, he didn't watch or read. He has no idea.
Dude, I've barely been following the scheduling channel in Discord.
With all that
Yeah, you know how hard it is.
And I haven't. Like, the only time I go in there is when I get like a text message from any one of you. And it's just like, hey.
You should read
Please
this.
respond.
Yeah.
Hey, bud, are you coming or are you still dead?
Yeah.
No, and then I log in and I see the fucking tumbleweed gif, and I'm like, that's not right.
Checks out. Yeah. So the Black Daggers were a thieves guild in Sonara that operated in the sewers underneath the city. And Wami Tingles is their leader, and there were two Tiefling sisters who ran a brothel before Sonara fell to the Glorious Reclamation, and they were also involved in the thieves guild. And basically, their leader Wami Tingles had the magical amulet, the what is it called?
Phlegmatic.
Phlegmatic talisman that they needed to control the gate. So the artifact that Fex had in his manor, basically this thieves guild robbed him and took it, and their leader was wearing it as a fancy necklace. So they went underground, and they kind of stumbled their way through the sewers and found the secret hideout, and then they snuck down, and they went into the dark with like no light into a group of people who can see in the dark, devils, half devils who can see in the dark, and they just started getting I think Vor's getting lit up like a pincushion. With arrows attacks and stuff like that. And Nero managed to calm everybody down before people got murdered. And you ended up talking to them, and you talked Wami Tingles into selling you the talisman. You basically convinced him that it was worthless to him, and I think you gave him 2,000 gold for it or something like that. And Wami had assessed that you guys were pretty strong, and he didn't want to mess with you really. He was deciding whether to jump you, because you basically admitted like, hey, we've got that kind of gold on us right now, we can pay you for it. And he started thinking, I could kill you right now and just take all the things you have. But he kind of assessed that you guys were powerful and didn't want to mess with you. So he did honorable business with you. And then, like, as you guys were leaving, you crawled out of the grave that led to their secret hideout, where you guys killed an angel. You killed an angel that was, like, blessing people in the graveyard and giving them redemption for their past sins. Iwan basically screamed out that they did it. That, like, the Black Daggers killed that angel. They murdered that angel in the graveyard. And then they left. They left the city. They just walked away from this huge mess they created.
Good for them.
And then, they did their thing. They did the downtime. They were in Cantaria, where they hung out for a while. They went to Agorian. And then they decided to come back to Sonara, where they just stirred up all this shit. And during the downtime, they came to Sonara a couple of times. And Iwan especially, basically, she murdered a tiefling named Quinta, who...
I remember.
You remember that part. Okay, good. So you're up on that.
This time. Up on that, yeah. I just didn't know anything about
that's
Wami.
kind of stirred up this whole rebellion. Like, the tieflings in the city are now, like, super pissed at the Glorious Reclamation. And a lot of
Forrest may or may not have helped with that.
Yes, you may or may not have seduced her and take her out on a moonlit carriage ride or whatever for all
It was,
these.
Yeah,
her,
that
last,
was really
it, was,
cool.
it was her last hurrah. She never left the city.
Yeah.
She had a good time. It's true. She was a local. She was happy. She was excited to go places with you. But yeah, so that all happened, and that's kind of stirred up all this shit. So a lot of the Chelish loyalists in the town have either been driven out or killed or swept up in like raids. So like there's no real like pro-Thrune presence here. The Glorious Reclamation kind of ran roughshod over everything. They did these sweeps. They kind of cracked down really hard, and then the army left. Like from everything they've heard about in the past couple of days, like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, the majority of the army that was all like the entire Glorious Reclamation army was here pretty much. Like it was a big siege. They took a very large city, and now they're gone. They know they were headed south. That's all that you guys have figured out so far. There are still troops here, but when you were walking through the city, it's far less than you've seen recently. In the past, I should say. And the Tieflings are basically stirring up shit. And you guys have figured out now that they're called the Children of the Pit, is like this new like revolutionary Tiefling group. And Bob and Nero were talking to them at this bar that they were at, and they basically figured out that they believe that Sonara should be a Tiefling city now. Like it's been like a third of the population has always been Tiefling, and it's like the most concentrated in all of Cheliax, possibly the world. And they see like this is the time we finally get out from under the humans' boot. Like this is the time. This is what happens. We're gonna overthrow their Glorious Reclamation. We're gonna own this city, and they don't want the Empire coming back in and throwing new human nobles on top of them again. They don't want any of that shit. So you guys were looking for summoners and stuff like that, and you heard that there is a warlock in town named Ressi, who's a very powerful warlock, who has been teleporting around. And Nero now believes that he's basically going throughout Cheliax and finding powerful tieflings and bringing them to Sonara. Like, basically bringing powerful revolutionaries to make this happen. And Nero was also talking to a guy named Caiaphas, was the sorcerer you were talking to. He's the one that you convinced that he could try to do the scroll. He's not high enough level to guarantee to do it, but he's willing to try. So that's kind of where we left off. That's a big recap of everything we've done in the past couple sessions and more.
I heard something about a letter.
Yeah, that letter's happening soon. That won't happen yet. But yes, Nero's sending you and Iwan letters.
Okay.
So all you need to know, Vors, is that you have missed basically 3 days. And we'll get to you, hopefully. I hope we have time this session. I hope we can get to you to basically catch you up. But I wanted to do the Tiefling thing first because it's kind of like it was a cliffhanger and it's interesting. So we're going to jump first to the tavern where Bob and Nero are. It's called the Market Goats Tavern.
Nero is going to let Bob kill everything.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he'll
Like
probably
Nero
try to get
always-
everything outside.
We're gonna kill everyone except Wami Tingles, and we're gonna bring him in as the hard group.
Okay.
And when Iwan dies, she will become Wami.
All right. So basically, Nero and Bob were talking to Caiaphas, and they bought him some drinks, and they kind of talked him up. And they basically said, like, hey, we'll pay you if you teleport us. We'll buy a teleport scroll. You just have to cast it, and then that's pretty much it. So Caiaphas has kind of agreed to this, and he got up to walk out with Nero and Bob. And as they're approaching the exit, Wami fucking Tingles walks through the front door, and he makes a secret perception check. And yeah, he recognizes you, Nero. He sees through your disguise.
Sure.
And he looks at you, and he just points and says, "You!" And he points at both of you. And without even saying anything else, like, everybody in the room immediately looks up. Like, they know his voice, and they all start looking at you. Like, you were getting some stares in the bar before, but now, like, literally everyone is looking at you. And they understand that Wami has a problem with you.
Me?
What's up, dude?
Didn't think I'd see you here. And he looks at you, Nero, and he says, I wrote some stuff for this. I wrote stuff. I'm not gonna be able to find it, right?
He looks like an evil Thor.
He looks like an evil Thor. He does look a little bit like evil Thor.
Like his token, yeah.
I thought you were talking about like his like face
His
art.
actual
and I was
person?
like,
No, it's the actual dude.
Nah, the token, yeah. So he looks at you, Nero, and he says, like, you're either You've got giant balls or a tiny brain. Which is it?
I mean, given the choice between those two, probably the balls.
And he actually laughs and he steps forward. He walks in and there's a rogue behind him. He walks in and everybody is just like, the bar has gone silent. And he looks at you and he looks at Bob and says, where are the others?
What others are you trying to fight?
Which others? You mean the gnome and the other human?
He nods and he raises an eyebrow at Bob when you ask him if he's looking to fight. He says, I'm never looking for a fight. I'm a businessman.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm not sure where Iwan is. I think Boars is in Agorian still.
Agorian? What are you doing there?
A bit of this, bit of that. Should we get a drink?
He looks at the rogue next to him, and he nods, and he gestures, and everybody at the bar moves away. And yeah, he basically walks up to you and sits next to you. Are you going to the bar, Bobbert?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm role playing. I'm getting another beer.
Okay. Yeah. So you also notice that basically like a rogue and a warrior with a mace have now kind of stepped in front of the door and closed it, observing you as you talk to Wami. And the tiefling barkeep is over there. He serves up some beers.
Everyone's tight-lipped. Tell me more about this Children of the Pit.
He shakes his head. He's like, no. Yeah, the elephant in the room needs to be addressed. He says,
Sure.
What did you do? What did you say?
About what?
He says, not 2 days after you come down to my sewers, you tell me you've killed the angel of the graveyard. Not 2 days after, the glorious reclamation kicks down the same doors and pins the whole thing on us.
I kid you not when I say literally we got out of your sewer and Iwan teleported us out of town. I know that Iwan and Boars have been back and forth to Sonara in the last few weeks, but literally the moment we got outside, poof, we were out of town.
He says, and you didn't say anything to anybody before you left.
I didn't speak to anyone outside of the group of people I was with, literally before we left town at all. Not to a child on the street, not to an innkeeper, not to anyone. We literally stepped outside and we're out of town.
He nods and says, and what did you do with the amulet?
Well, it's a long story. The short version is he fucked it up, and we should have had a devil under our belt, and instead we've got a useless piece of metal. You can have it back if you want.
Wami looks at Bob to kind of assess what he meant by you fucked it up. But when you say he can have the amulet back, he nods and says, I would like that back. And he puts his hand out.
Sure. Give me a moment. Let me rummage for it. So Nero will just keep talking while he rummages for it.
Bob, do you have anything to say to Warmus Tingles?
Not really. I mean, Bob's an idiot. Bob's drinking.
Bob's an idiot and Bob's drinking.
Ready?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but he asked you specifically. He's like, "How did you fuck it up?"
Me?
Yeah.
I don't remember how I fucked it up. Oh,
How do you not remember?
I don't remember what happened last session.
How did you fuck up the Inferno Gate thing? How did they had magic rock? How did you fuck that up?
I did what my god wanted me to do.
And he looks you over. He says, "Which god is that?"
Moloch.
And what did Moloch want you to do?
We got control of the gate for Moloch. Kind of.
He looks back at Nero. He's like, "What is he trying to say?"
Well, someone found we were about to seize control of the gate, and someone found religion and killed our only way to control it. So now it's just open under Moloch again. Not a bad patron, I suppose, if you don't mind serving. At least answers.
Bob leans in and says, "Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Moloch.
He brushes his hand away and says, "I serve only Osmodius and myself."
That's your loss, bud.
Yeah, so he goes back and forth with you a little bit, Bob, but then he comes back to Nero, and he says, "It's just too much of a coincidence. I don't know how they would have found the same thing. They came through the grave. They said we killed the angel. I don't. It's too soon. It was too much of a coincidence. Too much to be a coincidence."
I can understand why you feel that way. But, I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody ran their mouth? I mean, obviously someone talked. That or they found the hollow grave when they came looking for their missing angel. We didn't even leave a body.
Yeah, he takes a sip of his ale and thinks for a minute before saying, like, and all I have for this is your word that it wasn't you who talked. It wasn't you who was working with the Glorious Reclamation.
I am absolutely not working with the Glorious Reclamation. Had the boys over there let Bob and I come through, maybe they wouldn't have lost any the other night.
He said, "Come through? What do you mean?"
From what I understand, the Glorious Reclamation Patrol that disappeared last night, that was some of their doing. And Nero's sort of speaking in a hushed tone as he speaks to Wami now. From what I understand, that's their doing. We tried to tag along and help out, but they told us they didn't need us.
He nods and says, that sounds like them. And I forgot the guy's name, like Ugert or something. I forgot. That sounds like Ugert.
Hermes,
Thank you. There you go. This guy takes notes. That sounds like Hermes. Hermes doesn't like working with humans, and he gestures to himself. And Wami, for everything, despite being a half-devil, he looks surprisingly human. Like, he has tiny little horns on his head that you might have seen in conversation with him, but he hides it very well in his hair and often wears a hat. So he can pass for human very easily, which is why he made such a good leader of the Thieves Guild. You guys remember he was unofficially running an orphanage as posing as a human before all this went down. Yeah, so he looks at you and he says, "You know, I'm a little mad, but truthfully, things have been going pretty well for us over here since the."
It sounds like it. Sounds like you're making a lot of headway, especially since the army left. I don't know that they can hold you back.
And he nods and says, "It's just a matter of time now. Yes."
I brought up the idea of if we get back to Igorian, getting somebody to send support. I'm sure there's got to be, if you want to work only with tieflings, I'm sure there has to be a tiefling son, a daughter of a noble house that would love to be part of the saviors of Sonara.
He takes a sip of his ale and says, "Most Chelish families treat us as worse than bastards, in any case." He's not sure, like he said, "I'm not sure that there's any worth note when we're scouring the lands for them as we are right now."
I'd be happy to look and make note of it at court.
He nods. He says, I've read up on you a little bit, Nero, of House Nero. I've heard some things, Cantaria and things like that.
Ah.
You're an interesting person.
I was gonna say there wasn't much of note before this.
He says, "Yeah, your family is quite unnotable."
Being the third son of a third son is not exactly a path to glory.
He nods. Okay. So he says, "What exactly are you offering then, in support?"
What do you want? I can't get a straight answer out of anyone. I don't know what anyone needs. Do you need swords? Do you need bound devils? Do you need
He just says yes. As you list off several things, he just says yes.
I mean, I think that you guys are... There's a bunch of freed halflings. I think a lot of them are still loyal and still want to serve their masters and Cheliacs and are now freed into these houses. I think that you have a golden opportunity for next to nothing. I think you could have eyes and ears all over the city.
Why would the slips help us? To return to slavery?
Some of them welcome the yoke, for sure. Others of them, the ones that want to return to the yoke, you return to the yoke. The ones that want to be free, you offer them the opportunity to be free, not free until Cheliax retakes the city, truly free. I did something similar in Cantaria, where we repatriated a bunch of halflings that I now quote-unquote own, so that they're under the protection of a noble house. They have papers so that people can't just take them off the street, but at the same time, they live in their own town. They do their own thing. I don't have anything to do with what they're... I don't have anything to say in what they're doing.
And where do they live? What do they own? What do you own in Cantaria?
They have their own sort of town that they've been farming, and it's a small marshy area that they've been farming and taking care of. It's easily defensible so that slavers can't come in the night and take them. We set them up with some military drilling. We set them up with some instruction so that they can defend themselves, and they're just eking out a living there.
We want more than that. And as he says that, you hear a couple of people, like everyone's listening to this conversation, and you hear a couple of people like raising their glasses and kind of stomping their feet. Like, we want more than that.
I would imagine, yeah.
He says,
So, I mean,
okay.
I'm happy to make a case for you at court. I just need somebody who can get me out of here.
He nods, and he says, from what I've heard, you are quite a scholar of the law, and able to bend it in ways favorable to people you like.
You know, it's attention to detail. It's a curse.
Literally. Yeah, so Ami nods, and you can tell that he's coming off as a little angry, a little frustrated with everything, but he's mostly just playing. He seems very comfortable in his current situation, and genuinely interested in your powers as a legal scholar. And then he basically cuts right to it. He says, like, would you work for us then? Would you, like, after this happens, after whatever goes down here goes down, we don't want the next wave of Thruni loyalists to come in and just take all this from us. Like, we're doing this. They left. You see the town now. They all left.
Yeah.
There's not a single noble house here right now. There's not a single Chelish loyal house here.
Will they want to work with a human?
Will who want to work with a human?
Will leadership? I assume that if you're not in the leadership, you have access to the leadership.
He nods.
I'm sure that I can think of a half dozen laws about wartime property and repatriation of goods and that sort of stuff. I've actually been working on some of that for Iwin recently, but wartime activities, repatriation of goods. You know, some of what is up north will probably have to go back to the houses that got it, but you'll be able to basically write a check for yourself with the kind of thing you do if you guys overthrow the city with a little help. You might have one or two hangers on, depending on the houses. If we look, I'm sure we can find some how you put it, some bastards of noble houses who would love to make good on mommy and daddy's name.
He nods, and you can tell that Wami is an intelligent person, but some of the legalese is going over his head. You can tell that he's definitely following along, and he believes that you're saying things that are interesting and right. But as you finish up, he basically says, like, so at the end of the day, like, they left. Everything here is lost to them. Is it ours?
Right.
Or is it, you said things have to be given back. What has to be given back? If we take this city in our name, what's going to happen?
If you take the city and try to stand against Thrun, I don't know if you could stand against Thrun. If you take the city and pledge to Thrun that this is New Sonara, this is the city of Tieflings, this is this, I'm sure there will be some legal mumbo to work out. I'm sure that some of the pure noble houses We used to work for Fex. I'm sure that some of that will have to be repatriated. Personal goods, monetary effects, that sort of thing. But I think you're going to have a lot of leeway if you retake the city to pledge your loyalty to the Queen and pledge your loyalty to Asmodeus and retake the city for yourselves.
Mommy nods and says, I care not for the baubles, and we can repay them for property if that's what needs to be done, but this is
Right.
ours now. If we do this, this is ours, and you can make that happen?
I can try. The law is a tricky thing, so there's arguments and counter arguments. What does Nero think the odds are on something like that? Like it would be an incredible amount of work, I'm sure, but I'm not sure what Nero would know because he's.
Make a knowledge check, Nero.
So Nero will say, "Just a moment," and he just stares off into space.
You get a
Run
plus
like
20 on this?
to an uncomfortable degree, stares off into space. Yeah. Why I can't remember what the knowledge is.
Plus 20. Yeah, Nero does believe this would be an incredible amount of work, and that there'd be very unhappy noble houses, because it's basically assumed that when the Empire takes back Sonara, the noble houses would basically just get back what was theirs. So there would definitely be a lot of legal maneuvering, but he does believe it possible. He does believe that the city being lost and retaken has some merit, and the fact that the families abandoned the city, like everybody left, you could make lots of legal arguments around that. So you do believe it's possible?
I think it's possible. I think you'd have to hire a lot of people. I think you'd have to have a lot of people at court. I think you'd have to hire a lot of barristers to do it. I think if you retake the city, you have a very good shot at it.
Mommy nods and smirks.
If you with little aid from the Thrune army retake the city, it would be an incredible blow to the glorious reclamation. It'd be an incredible boon in your favor.
He nods and smirks. He seems happy with your answer and confident in the abilities to do the things you've said. He says, and where are you in the court's eyes? You've been to Agorian? Have you been there often?
Well, I came up through Agorian when I was a nobody, and I ended up at the Godclaw, and I'm back in Agorian now as an agent for Thrune, and as a signifier for the Godclaw. But there's goings on in the city. There's always goings on in the city. So, in terms of where I am at court, I'm maneuvering now. I'm still. What's the name of the church? The House of Night?
The Midnight Temple or something like that.
Midnight Temple. So I'm known to a few people in the Midnight Temple, and I know a few names there, but I'm not. I won't lie to you and tell you I'm a big name.
He says, do you have any noble houses? Do you have the ear of any noble houses? Are you aligned with anyone else in Agorian?
We haven't aligned yet. We've been fielding offers and just waiting for the best people to get us our shot to see the Queen.
Yeah, he sees it.
There's something big. There's something very big going on in the city. They've recalled a lot of agents of Thrune, and they're basically. I think that something's going on, and they're looking for the right fit of people to do this great mission.
He nods and says, I've heard. Several people have left for Agorian. Several people amongst our ranks were Thrune agents. He says some people chose to go there, and some people chose to stay here.
Interesting.
He slides another beer down to you, Bob. He says, you, priest, what does Moloch tell you to do now?
Well, Moloch hasn't spoken to me in a bit.
He raises an eyebrow and says, oh?
Yeah, I mean, Moloch hasn't really talked to me since I got him the gate and just left it open.
What do you believe the Grand General of Hell's armies would have you do here?
I'm following Nero right now and awaiting my god to come back to me.
He shakes his head, doesn't really like that answer.
I think he's going to be waiting a while, yeah.
I mean, I pray every day to Moloch and hope that he'll get back to me with a mission, or a servant, as if he had promised that.
Yeah. So yeah, Wami seems confused by what you're talking about, but he looks back at Nero.
Quick question. What happened to Brexter?
Brexter is his servant now.
Yeah.
That was not the deal I had wanted.
We can talk about that if you're willing to trade in your super weapon. You can have an actual like devil.
No, I'm not trading my super weapon.
Then you can't have the actual devil.
My super weapon's worth more than fodder.
No.
You never use
Not
it. You
giving
have an
away the
ability.
weapon.
Yeah.
The ability to summon a spiritual aid into your weapon that you never use.
You have an
to,
ability
like,
you never
amp up the
use.
weapon.
We'll talk about it later.
All right, we'll talk about that later.
But if you're willing to trade this thing you literally used once, I think, then you can have a devil
weapon.
or
You had
a
an
cobra.
ability that you didn't use when we got jumped and you almost died.
That's true. Yes,
All
To
right.
be fair, you got slowed and it takes a standard action to use. But go on.
it's true.
Yeah, to be fair, I was right in not using it.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you heard of it.
And we were drunk and possibly.
And I'm drunk now, so...
Yeah. So Wami's looking you over, and again, he doesn't like your answers, Bob. He's beginning to think you're kind of an idiot and maybe not a priest.
Right, yeah, no, Bob has no brain, big balls. We went over that before.
So he looks back at you, Nero, and he says, "You may yet be valuable." And he looks to the tiefling warrior over here with the big he's like a big flail or whatever it is, and he nods, and the guy stands down a bit. Like you can tell that this guy was trying to basically start thrashing on you.
I have no love for the glorious reclamation. You know, if even outside of just the God Claw, I have no love for the glorious reclamation. So anything I can do, I'd do gladly.
Wami perks up and smirks very wide, and he says, "I'm so glad to hear you say that. I have exactly something you can do to prove that to me."
Oh, what's that?
He's like, "Well, whoever snitched, they started they basically ran a dragnet across the city, and they captured a bunch of our underlings, and someone very important to me as well. Yulome is in prison, and we were thinking
I did see that she was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good.
I did see that she was crossed out on the poster. Go on.
No. He nods and says, "Yeah, we've been fancying a prison break, and we finally figured out exactly where she's being held, and perhaps you'd like to join us."
When is this planned for?
He says, nothing hard and firm yet, but we could do it as early as tomorrow.
I was literally going to get out of the city tonight.
And he clucks his tongue and says, "We could rush it if you want to do it tonight, or you..."
I have a lantern archon on the way back to me with some information.
Raises an eyebrow and says, "An archon? They are lawful good creatures."
So if I want something to go behind good lines and come back without getting thrashed the way an imp would, it makes sense that I would summon something good that can still teleport.
You watch as he's just basically assessing everything you've said. He's sizing you up. And you can tell he's not happy about that. He says, you're not making a great case for not working with the Glorious Reclamation using their servants.
Oh, this one, I believe, serves Torag. Made it a point.
he shrugs and says, close enough. He's like, I guess.
Close-lipped. I don't want anyone interacting.
And what is this Archon doing for you?
I'm finding where Iwin is.
Iwin is, and he looks at you.
I have an idea, but I don't know.
Oh, he doesn't know who Iwin is. He just knows him as the gnome.
Oh, the gnome. The gnome.
Okay. And you were leaving the city. How? When?
I was gonna get somebody to cast a scroll for me, teleport me back to Agorian.
He turns and he looks at Kythus, and Kythus nods as if he was the one who was going to do it. And he says, "Okay." So he says, would you do this tonight? We want to prove yourself tonight? See if we can do business again?
I'm a little hot right now, but I don't know, Bob. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'm good. I'm good for it.
I mean, tonight seems rushed. If we needed to do it tomorrow, I'd need somewhere to lay low.
If we do it tonight, we don't get anywhere to lay low.
It's true, but I imagine that, rushing things seems... Does rushing things make our options worse, Swami?
Bob's gonna slam the rest of his beer while Wami is talking about this.
Wami says that he was hoping to get more information about the cells that were being kept in, basically in the prison. They know that there is a tiefling named Zemenos, and Wami calls him a traitor to our people and a bootlicker. A zealot for the Glorious Reclamation's cause. There's a warden at this prison, but they don't know anything else. They don't know how many other guards are there or stuff like that. So he was hoping to get that information tonight or tomorrow and then launch sometime in the next couple of days. But he says, if, with people like you, and he gestures to Bob the big bald over there, with people like you, maybe we don't need that information.
Might be true. We could always get to Agorian and back if you've got people working who could get us there and back.
Bob interrupts and says, "You point, I shoot."
Wami likes that. Wami nods. And he says, I've heard talk in the city about some sort of a raid on the Glorious Reclamation barracks. And he looks at you knowingly and says, that was you, yeah?
I don't know. We've been everywhere.
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
Yeah.
Wami takes that as an affirmative and says, well, if you can do that, if you can do here what you did there, and he shrugs like this should be a joke for you.
If you think so. Do you think it'd be better to do it tomorrow? Do you think it'd be better to do it today? Can you get me someone who's, no disrespect intended, more of a sure thing to get me out of the city? I've heard tell of this. This gentleman teleporting all over, getting tieflings back to the city.
Now, Wami looks around the room as if trying to see who told you about this guy, but doesn't see anybody looking up. No one's really owning up to that fact.
As a sidebar to this, how is Bob actually feeling right now?
You mean from the drinks?
I mean from everything, because it's now nighttime. Bob has been drinking.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Make a fortitude. Make 2 fortitude saves.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah, but you're Bob. Watch what these numbers are.
Okay, hold on. I gotta find the goddamn fortitude save.
You have a plus 22.
I don't think you're able to get drunk anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't get drunk unless you want to. You can voluntarily fail saves, so you can say, I want this to hit me hard. But no, you're basically you're fine. You're a little tired, but not even that tired, honestly.
I am Bob in real life.
Yeah.
Actually drinking lamp oil, yes.
Yeah, what's this? This is great. Yeah. So Wami basically said he nods. He looks around for a while and kind of tries to see who's been talking about, because no one's supposed to really talk about Resi. But he nods and he says, yeah, we have a guy who can get you where you need to go.
Okay. The halflings knew, and they seemed to know about him in the north, in the scroll shop, that there's Diabolus still around.
Wami nods and appreciates the information. He says, okay, so which is it? You want to go tonight? You want to wait till tomorrow? I have spies in the area. They'll get back to me tomorrow.
I'm seemingly fine. If you want to go kill some shit. Bob's down just throwing a hammer.
A logistics question. We wouldn't do this tonight. We're going to get to everyone else, correct?
Well, yeah, if you choose to do it either way, we're going to move to the next person before we do the thing.
Okay. So, yeah. Nero will make the point that basically we could probably get more thugs if we went to Agorian, but if you wanted to do this tonight or tomorrow, we could do it.
Wami's fine doing it tomorrow. But basically he doesn't want to let you out of his sight until you've done this. This is the proof. This is the commitment to the cause, whatever. And you mentioned having to lay low, and he affirms that he will take care of you. He and his people here will make sure the Glorious Reclamation doesn't come this far south in the Low District anymore. You'll be fine here.
I think your people would do well to go to this place, and he basically describes it as a place where Blissey and them were. I know that we're sending a load of them out of the city back to their master, via wagon,
Mhm.
I have no doubt you could recruit others who are in similar situations who would love to just be your ears and eyes for a day, tomorrow, all day.
For what? For coin? For what do they want?
Probably for coin, for transport out of the city, for transport somewhere else. Who knows?
Okay.
The group that we worked with wanted transport to the Archbaron's Manor in Longacre.
Okay. He nods and says, willingly accepting the yoke, eh?
You know, it's not for everyone. You get used to something after so long a time.
He takes a big long swig and says, I don't understand that at all. I don't get these slips.
Well, but think about some of the fellows in here. Not everyone can pass like you. Imagine. Do you think a nobleman sneering at some of these people bothers them anymore?
B looks around the room and says, yeah, I do. And I think they're not going to take it anymore. I think this is it.
Oh, I 100% guarantee about not taking it, but I don't think that they care about what that nobleman thinks. I think they'd rather just cut his head off.
Fair enough. Yeah, so he finishes his drink, and he basically appoints Kythus, the guy you were talking to be your handler, to take care of you for the night. So there's places for you to stay. Did you want to do anything else?
We have to go back to wherever he appointed the Lantern Archon to return, but other than that, no, you can just
Okay. Yeah, a bunch of them will follow you. You'll have a bunch of rogues and sorcerers following you. And like he said, in like this far in the Low District, there's no glorious reclamation at all. Especially after last night or whatever it was, when like they sent an army of people down and like the Tieflings slaughtered them. Like they sent down like a cleric and 8 sergeants, and they got slaughtered. So the Tieflings basically run the Low District now. All right. Anything else you want to do, Nero or Bobbert? Bobbert's away. All right. Okay, so we'll jump away from this right now. What do my notes say? My note says Vor's catch-up is number 2. Hi, Vors. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. What's going on?
All right. So, like, this is the town of Agorian, the city of Agorian, capital of the Empire. So you've been gone for 2 full sessions and basically 3 full days. The day that they left to do their raid was the night of Wednesday. They basically did almost nothing for the majority of the day. They were basically just planning to do this raid, which they hoped would be a quick in and out, but they wanted to wait till dark so that they wouldn't be spotted while they were doing it. Things went sideways. You don't really know that yet as of Wednesday, but basically you told them that you were going to be busy all day on Wednesday because you were going to be like hobnobbing with nobles and trying to get a feel for the city at large, and also presumably to look for your family that you've heard is in town. So for the day of Wednesday, I'm basically going to hand wave the whole thing and just basically boil it down into 4 diplomacy checks. So go ahead and make 4 diplomacy checks, and just kind of give me a general gist of how Vors would try to find out about his family and what he would do to kind of hobnob with nobility after being away for so long.
I would love to, but the campaign's loading after I got a Stack Overflow error.
Oh, fun. We can talk about that later. There's things you can do. You can give it more
Stack
of a
Overflow
software
is how you learn how to write code.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
I know of the website. I don't actually know what it's referencing, though, because I'm not a computer scientist, Michael.
Yeah, I am a
In
software
memory, there's this
engineer.
thing called the stack. You put in new things, they go on the top, and you take them off when you're done. And it's a stack, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And if it gets too big, it overflows. It goes out of the allocated.
Well, what does it
memory.
mean? What does it mean to overflow?
So you allocate a block. You allocate a block this big, right? This is your program. And
But what does it mean to overflow?
Oh god. To go into the next person's block.
What does that mean? That's not really what overflow means, Joseph.
Yes, it is. God.
No, it's not.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
If you have 8 bits, you can count up to 255. When you overflow, you're back at 0.
That's yes, correct. But a buffer overflow
A
exploit.
buffer overflow means you're in someone else's memory. That's a different thing than a stack overflow. Joseph.
The memory stack. This is buffer overflow. It's this buffer.
It's not the same. It's not the same
I'll
thing.
yell at you later. That's fine. That's what it's referencing.
Brendan
So-
Johnson does not want to hear this.
You don't know what Brendan Johnson wants, or Stephen Buttersworth. You have no idea what those people want. All right, Vors, is your campaign back?
Rip Booze is disconnected, just so we're clear.
Is connected. It says is the most recent one I have.
I have. Okay, yeah, he's back. I
Yeah,
have I have 4 error messages at once. I'm sorry.
You have error messages or the disconnects?
Yo, you got them too?
No, mine are fine.
We see that you disconnected and stuff.
Oh my god. Dude, I don't know what's going on right now.
Is it
No,
failing
it doesn't
again?
I don't know. It just says loading campaign, but it doesn't appear to be loading, so does that
Oh.
qualify as a failure?
Probably. All right, Vors. I will roll diplomacy checks for you, Vors.
Okay.
A stack overflow is in the execution stack. I just wanna be right.
Okay. Okay, for diplomacy checks, I gotta hit the non-secret button. Where's my non-secret button? Where's my non-secret button? Where the hell is it? Global campaign skills. What was in my mind? Is there one I don't have? Dice miscellaneous. There it is. All right. Turn off my secret button. All right. 4 diplomacy checks, Mr. Vors. 1, 2, 3, 4. 26, 26, 25, and 30.
That's all right.
What? Yeah, that's what you rolled. You were plus 17, or is that not correct these days?
No, it is. That's why I said it was like, all right.
Yeah. Okay. So briefly
Alright.
describe how you would hobnob with nobles. So basically, the last thing that happened with you is you had a lunch with Lavasvia, Vasvian of the Lawgiver's Rest, and she seems ultimately uninterested with you now. You had a dinner since then that I think you weren't actually physically present for, and she all but ignored you. Like, you weren't there to roleplay, but anytime you spoke, she basically just paid you the most, like, trifling respect required, and kind of just ignored you, and mostly focused on the other people and what they were doing in the city. So basically, what would Vors be doing in the city to kind of hobnob with nobility?
Well, there's what was it? I just remember him being like Eddie Bowie, or so not Eddie Bowie, David Bowie of whatever, like Gregorian, and like wasn't he having a party soon?
There is a party on Saturday. So today is Wednesday, but everybody else is on Friday already. But yes, there is a party on Saturday.
On Saturday. All right. No, I mean, I guess like he would just like frequent some of the like bars and I don't know, like see if he could like chime in and like strike up a conversation like he did with Dern, and like just at at like taverns and whatnot. He wouldn't be actively asking about anybody from the Avernus family, but just be like listening about and like seeing if if he hears anything.
Okay.
Then that's the general approach you take.
Okay. Yeah, so you go to a couple of like taverns in like the richer districts in town, and basically kind of just do you make yourself known as by your name, or are you just kind of talking to people, or how do you introduce yourself?
Just as Vors, Avernus.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they would definitely immediately ask you like what house you're from, what stuff like that. So yeah, so you do identify as Vors Avernus. And with the rolls you rolled there, you have a bunch of chats with a bunch of minor nobles, and you get the feeling, as you would expect, that this is a town where there's a lot of lower level nobility that's trying to one up each other and play leapfrog up the chain. And the people you meet in these taverns the majority of them are like that. Like, so people you start talking to, you get the direct impression that they are like minor families that don't really matter. That, they might have wealth, they may even have a title, but they're basically nobodies in this town. So you spend hours basically just going to a couple taverns, having lunch, stuff like that, and you basically get that opinion. The people you're talking to are just of that level. Later in the afternoon, though, you meet with a man named Maximus Sabinus, And after talking with him, you get the feeling that he's like a middling house in Agorian, but that they're kind of in ascension. You believe that they are making a name and more wealth for themselves. You get to be talking about the halfling slave trade, and you find out that they own a lot of slaves. Basically, they're in the flesh market trade, and they own a lot of slaves, and they have a like an import export kind of thing. They specialize in getting new slaves to Agorian, and also finding like specialty slaves. Like if you need a specific type of a house slave, they're very good at acquiring that and or training that in house. So you think that House Sabinus is kind of on the up and up, and you basically, with those rolls that you made, you've smoothed your way into being invited to a dinner there this evening.
Ooh. Then I'm gonna do my like knowledge checks before I and, like talk to Joe before I start
Yes.
like asking questions.
Yeah. So we don't have to roleplay the entire thing out, but yeah. So you know very little about them from your history. Make a knowledge check just to see how well you roll, because you might have heard some stuff while in town. But let me know if you can actually make the check. Oh, good, you can. Okay, nobility. Not.
Am I the party?
You are the party.
Wait.
Yes.
All right. No, is it linked to my stats though?
It's your token. I'm not sure if it's synced recently. What's your knowledge nobility? I should check that too.
Well, 15. What? I thought it was higher than that.
Yeah, that's what it says on your sheet. And that's what it rolls. So yeah, it does have your stats. So yeah, so you know very little about this family. You believe that they've kind of come to power since you were exiled from Remisiana. You know very little about them, but you've heard their name in town, and you kind of get the feeling that the stuff the guy's saying to you at the lunch is probably true. You do believe they are involved in the slave trade. They are a big player in the slave trade. And like Sabinus, not branded, like actually maybe they are literally branded. Let's go with that. Sabinus branded slaves are high quality, and again, like you can find specific ones that do the things you want, including very odd things. Like some of them basically have been trained to know all of the Chilaxian poets, for example. So, like, if you wanted to have a slave that could recite poetry to you, you would go to House Sabinus and have them train or find you a slave that has been trained for this purpose.
Nice.
So yeah, you know very little about them going into dinner. Is there anything else you'd like to do in town before that?
No. I was gonna do some other stuff, but now I got stuff to do, so.
Okay. Alright, so you hear nothing about your family throughout the day. No one mentions them, because you said you explicitly don't bring them up or say that you're looking for them, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you hear nothing about them. No one's talking about the Abernuses. Even when you mention your name, you don't hear any crosstalk or anything like that. So then you get to the dinner, and it's they do seem like a family that has a lot of wealth. They have a Vanio, which is like kind of like a nice like summer house in the which district? Like between Thorntown and Hellhound Hill. If I zoom out a little bit, like this section over here, they have a nice little Vanio over here, and you do see lots of other very nice, large, like summer house, kind of like Roman buildings over there.
Yeah, stuff spread out there.
Yeah, they got money. And when you go there, they have that same pig you ate, the Razorback, the Avernus Razorback meat. So they do have like the 100 gold plate of meat that they put before you. And you do get the feeling that these are affluent people, but you do believe they're trying very hard to appear very wealthy. Like they're laying out all this money to appear to be a super wealthy family. And you can kind of tell that they're either new money or they don't have as much as they would like you to believe based on the spread they're putting out.
Okay.
You have a nice dinner with them. They begin talking about the trade in the flesh markets. They have a good number of slaves on hand. Like, you basically never see the same slave twice. Like, someone runs the kitchen, runs back, and then you see a different slave come from the kitchen. It's never the same servant twice. And during the dinner, the wife begins to talk to you, and she's bemoaning this bellflower network in town. And she looks at you as if you were supposed to know what that's about.
Does you know?
You know that they're the abolitionists. They're the slave freers in town.
Yep.
And she goes on, basically saying like, slaves have gone missing from like all the noble houses over here in Hellhound Hill have been affected by it, and it's cutting into our business now.
I mean, that's I can't believe that they're trying to like change something like this. Like this is part of like Cheliax and like who we are.
She nods, and the husband nods, and all of the other family, like, they're all in agreement. And it said, like, they stomped them out. The Order of the Scourge stomped them out over a decade ago. I can't believe they're back. I can't believe, like, why now? Someone says the Glorious Reclamation. It's got to be a spark. And everybody kind of spits on the ground and groans when someone mentions the Glorious Reclamation.
Yeah. And for them to like have raided the God Claw like they did, I don't know. They're most of the folks are just misled and can be cast aside or slaughtered. But like we really need to deal with this issue head on. That's probably why like we've all been called here, or like why so many of the Thrune agents have been called here.
Someone looks up from the table and says, "You think they were called here to stomp out the Bellflower Network?"
Oh, I'm sorry, the Glorious Reclamation.
And he nods. And then someone else from the other table, one of the younger sons, says, "Can you believe the Church of Iomedae is allowed to operate in Nagorian?"
I mean, this city and certainly this country is like existed on laws, like very strict laws at times. And, like, I hate to say it, but while I am surprised that they're still here, like I'm not too surprised that they are allowed to operate.
He seems a little put off by that, but he kind of agrees, and there's general agreement around the table because like just Cheliax as a whole, like again, Iomedae literally lived here. Like she was a mayor of Cantaria. She's not just a god that happens to be worshipped here like other gods. Like she was here. She's in the blood of these people, and you can't just kick that god out, basically. You can't just drive out that church. And they have one of the biggest churches to Iomedae in the world is here in Nagorian. And they're just letting them operate freely, pretty much. So there's more talk around the table, and you can tell that there's definitely like a lot of animosity towards this temple existing, and some people openly accuse the church down there of helping, like aiding and abetting the abolitionists, and they all think that something must be done.
Well, I mean, the government can't do anything, so. Or, sorry, with the abolitionists. Well, I mean, certainly there are, like, ways to deal with folks that you don't have time to wait for the, like, rule of law to, like, take its course.
Yeah. Again, you get a general agreement around the table, and they seem to have taken a liking to you. You seem to be in the same mindset as them, and you have a very nice dinner. Very good dessert courses, lots of wine if you're interested in imbibing. And it goes very well. You don't embarrass yourself with your diplomacy checks. So you've made a friend of the Sabinus family, and they're very interested to hear more later on about what you have in mind, about what else can be done to stop these slaves from escaping, from being freed. And during the dessert course of the dinner, it is asked if you say your name is Vorza Burnus, are you related to the Abernuses of Remesiana?
I am. Though I can't say that I'm close. Close to the family.
He says they've been making small waves throughout town. We've heard of them, but not much. How are you related? And how are you related to Ned, which is the head of their household now?
There's Ned.
His sons Rod and Todd.
Rod and Todd. Yeah, Rod and Todd.
And Quinta, his daughter.
No, Ned is my uncle.
Oh. And they seem a little put off about that. Basically, the implication being that you are not a high-ranking member of the family if you are the nephew of the the patriarch. You can tell that they don't say anything, but you can tell, like, not disdain, but the putting of in your place. Like, they understand the hierarchy now.
Okay.
But yeah, and they say, like,
I suppose Vors notices that.
yes, it's very plain. They don't make it. They're not being subtle at all about it. It's like basically they say "oh," and just the way they say "oh" is enough to convey all of this meaning. Like they've been wasting a good meal on a nephew of a family's patriarch.
Okay. I mean, they could have asked earlier, but
It's true. Yeah, again, so despite that, they seem to have a good time and they enjoy your company. And yeah, they seem eager to see what someone will do about this Bellflower Network. Alright, so the dinner ends, and again, you haven't fully...
so how popular is the Bellflower Network?
How popular is it?
Yeah. No, just like across the city, like not amongst the nobles. Like, what has Vors been like picking up on as far as
so
like,
it's a very underground situation. Like, basically, the Empire wants them all dead. So it's a very underground. It's like an underground railroad kind of thing, where they basically sneak slaves out of the city, and no one knows where they are or how they operate. They operate in small cells, and they don't really understand it. So you hear about it. There's lots of complaints about it, but no one you've talked to seems to know anything about it other than they appear to be an Agorian.
Okay. I mean, Vors would then start trying to gather up information about them and find out who's helping them. And
sure. All right. So you don't embarrass yourself at dinner. They do know that you're the nephew in the family. But you head back to the Lawgiver's Rest, and it's now like nighttime. It's late enough that you would do that you would be doing the lookup stuff tomorrow on Thursday. And the party is gone. Like they've left while you were at dinner, and they do not come back. So you would start to suspect something was wrong late in the night of Wednesday. So what would you do about that? Like, no one's come back. No one's talked to you. No one sent a message or anything like that. They've just been gone. It's now, let's say it's like 2 a.m, and they were supposed to be back at 1.
I think Vors would probably be like nursing a brandy at the bar. Not getting drunk, just like they're nursing it. Yeah, so I guess like probably go to sleep.
Like, all right, they're not here. They'll be back tomorrow morning.
No, like really, yeah.
yeah. That's the good thing. Yeah.
I mean, like they teleported to Sonara, right?
Yeah, they're in Sonara, and you knew they were going. They told you their plans, and you were basically saying like, I'm gonna be out. I gotta do this. And at some point during the day, you figured out like you've been invited to a dinner, and you told them do the Sonara thing without me. It was a quick in out. They were gonna teleport into a room, take the thing. It was a masterful plan. Iowan had a masterful plan, and it went extremely well up until the point when it didn't. And yeah, so you thought they'd be in and out and be back, but they didn't show up. So they didn't show up for nighttime there, and Dern went with them. So Dern's also not there. So you go to sleep, and you wake up, and now it's Thursday. They're not there in the morning of Thursday either. So you wake up, and again, there's no breakfast here. They only have dinner. So you have to go out and find breakfast. But no one's here. When did you guys send back, what's her name? Azamag.
Darren? Yeah.
When did you send
Midday.
Azamag back? Midday on Thursday?
Yeah, No, early.
Early Thursday?
Once we got situated, we were set before.
Before Nero
Once
was
we were situated in the
paralyzed?
inn,
Before Nero was frozen, yeah.
Before he was unfrozen, you mean?
probably shortly after he was frozen. The plan
Yeah,
was in
because
the air.
Nero was looking at the tomes, and he got frozen. So then...
Right.
That's right. And then I said, hey, send this shit back. It's getting bad.
Okay, so let's just say it happens in the morning. That Azamag comes, Mr. Vors, and she gives you the sit rep of what's happening. That Iwin has disappeared. Nero is paralyzed. he's stuck in some sort of magical field.
Mhm.
And Bob and she seems to stammer over Dern's name, not remembering it because he's new. And she mentions Dern. Bob and Dern are trying to get Nero free.
Literally
and-
one syllable.
and she takes out. They gave her a magical bag. She has one of your bags of holding, and she has to come to your room, and she dumps on your bed all of the books that they stole. So they did successfully take all of the Fex's notes and the tomes about planar binding and stuff like that, and she dumps it on the bed, and she tells you that Dern told me to show you these, and said that we should begin copying them.
Okay.
And they're very dense
Alright.
books. They're like Vex's notes are only a couple of pages, but the big tomes are like big, dense, arcane tomes. Like you don't think you'd be able to copy them yourself very, very easily. And she throws out the idea that the House of Asmodeus, they have scriveners, like they have scribes that we could pay to do this, but it seems like it's a lot of work.
So it's going to cost a lot of money.
She nods and she says, "Do you think this is worth it?" They seem to think this is worth it.
Yeah, I certainly trust Nero. Like his knowledge of the legal system and the value of these books is probably accurate.
Okay, then yeah. So basically, she's gonna go to the House of the Midnight Temple, and have these books start to be copied now, which is basically what we assumed would happen. So that's good. So she goes away, unless you want to say anything else to Azamag as she's leaving.
Where is the party? Like, where is everyone? What's going on?
The low district of Sonara, and she says that Nero is currently paralyzed, and they're trying to figure out what happened to him, what they can do to undo it.
Can you get me back there?
And she shakes her head, and she's like, "I'll only teleport myself."
Do you know where I can find somebody to teleport me to Sonara, like from here?
And she says, "There's lots of people in Agorian that could do that. There's lots of wizards," and she says, "Maybe even some people here in the tavern. I don't know many of them."
Okay.
But she says, if you got the money, there are spellcasters all around that can teleport.
Okay.
Yeah, so she goes...
How much does that usually cost, Joe?
That's a great question.
I presume whores would maybe no.
Yeah, you would probably know. Make another knowledge check if you can.
I'm in the tavern. Is that where I am? Yeah, there I am. Yeah, there I am.
Yeah, if horse is there, why not?
I need access to the token.
Oh, could you change your name?
Well, I had to because it wouldn't let me reconnect.
That's the best. This is amazing software. Okay, you should have access now.
Yeah.
Teleport is a 5th level wizard spell.
Oh, okay.
So let's see, you rolled, and yeah, you know. And a 5th level wizard spell requires a 9th level wizard, so 9 times 5 times 10 is
450.
That's it? Okay. So 450 gold, I'm pretty sure, is what a teleport would cost.
Pretty sure horse. Pretty sure horse can swing that.
Yeah, you've got money. Yeah, so you would know. You basically know, like, for less than 500 gold, you can have a teleporter. But that doesn't get you back, and generally when you ask for a teleport, the spellcaster would ask you to pay for another casting back. Because they don't want to hang out with you, unless someone's going to Sonara for another reason. So it'd probably be double that for a teleport.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would know that. So, it's Thursday, and you have the whole day. What would you do on Thursday, just generally speaking?
Just basically like, try to find out more information about the barrister and like the Bellflower peoples, and like start putting together a list of names and like find out about their vocations and if they're like decent NPCs, then their classes and
Okay.
what they're good at and all that.
Okay. So you go out and you're basically kind of subtly trying to find out about the Bellflower Network. So make 2 more diplomacy checks.
Ugh.
Yeah, those are not great for uncovering an underground railroad situation.
I think I get. Oh no, I get my I get my knowledge local from that too.
You do what?
What?
How does that work? You get knowledge local on top of it, or does it get a bonus from knowledge local, or what?
Maybe that should be retracting.
How's it go with other?
I'm looking.
Alright.
Or maybe that could have been.
I use it for I'll put that on.
Oh, never mind. That's just if I'm tracking somebody in particular.
Okay.
So a character with 5 ranks in knowledge local gains a +2 bonus.
Okay. Yeah.
But.
So basically, yeah, you're going around town. You're asking about the Bellflower Network, and you're trying to see if anybody's heard about the Barrister, which is something that Blissey told you, so you know the name.
Well, I guess. I guess if I wanted to find the trail of the Barrister, I would use this.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so you do get the +2. Right.
Okay. Yeah, so you're asking around town, and it's now like the afternoon, and you've gotten pretty much no leads since the morning. You've definitely seen that, you've heard that people have been talking about the Bellflower Network, and some people have basically said that they've been getting bolder and bolder recently. Some people claim that they never actually left Agorian. Like, people have been talking about it, it's been eradicated for a decade, but some people say they never left, they were just getting more and more covert. And that in recent months, they've just been being more brazen. They've been doing more slaves and doing larger shipments of slaves out of the town. You do hear that people do believe that they're probably using like waterways, because if they were moving halflings over land, it would probably be too obvious, and they're probably not rich enough to be teleporting people out. They're not like saving 25 gold halflings by teleporting them out. So you get the sense that there's a lot of different ports, especially in the Low District. And let me, not the Low District, it's called, that's what Sonara calls it. What's the Gorian call it? Like over here in, near Staroside and Trick Alley and Bilgetown, like there's lots of docks over here. You think that it's entirely possible that one of these docks they're using to kind of get halflings out of here. And once you're on the water, you're basically free. There's not like a large Chelish Navy presence on the water. So you get the feeling that it's probably a water-based operation, but you don't hear a whole lot about... No one seems to know the Barrister. They don't know what you're talking about when you talk about the Barrister.
Remind me, how did Voris find out about her?
Blissey said that someone named the Barrister came to talk to the halflings at Fex's Manor. She was a woman with one hand. She was a blonde woman with one hand. And that basically she tried to get them to rebel before Sonara fell. Like, she was basically saying, like, we can get you out of here. We can get you to freedom. And she said that all of Fex's slaves declined. They basically said, we're happy with the situation. We love our master. You know, this isn't going to happen. And that was it. They left. And then Sonara fell, and supposedly the Barrister went missing, was out of the city. So...
Alright. Well, I would probably head down to the southeast, right around, like, warehouse with halflings, and conversation with Barrister.
Well, Boris doesn't know where that is, because that happens later Thursday night.
That's the moral, guys. That's the moral. There it is.
That's true. That happens on Thursday
I would go to the place where I warehouse the halflings.
Yeah.
Go down to the southeast.
Yeah. You're not wrong to do that.
Wait, what? Well, in child chat.
Child
What?
chat? What?
Child chat's a place, apparently.
Child chat? Oh, that's where
That's where I slapped that
Dern
kid up.
accosted a child and basically said, I'm going to eat you if you lie to me, but don't worry about it, it's fine. Yeah, so you make your way over here to Dice End and Long Market, and these are kind of the seedier areas of town. And Vors, despite, feeling good in noble areas, when you get into really slummy districts, you also feel a different kind of good. Like, you seem to be in your element. You're hot in both places. And, like, in middle-class neighborhoods, you just feel kind of, like, out of place. But when you're, when you're in high society, you know what to do. And when you're in really low society, you know what to do. And you're basically you're slumming it, and you're getting you're talking to these people, and you're meeting a bunch of interesting low-level thugs and illegal dealers and things like that, and you find like the drug connects and stuff like that. You're doing the Vors thing, but no one here is talking about the Bellflower Network. They all seem to say, like, yeah, they're here, they're around, but I don't know anybody. And you believe them. You don't believe they're lying or hiding anything. So while you're walking through town, you're moving further south. You're somewhere in Bilgetown, and someone approaches you, Mr. Vors.
Ooh. Oh.
And where's my notes at? So a tall for a halfling, a very lanky halfling, comes up to you and grabs your cloak, and you acknowledge her, and she is you realize that she is the halfling you saw earlier with Paraduke Sethic Thalgano.
Okay.
And
Oh,
you remember her
yeah.
name is Bist, B-I-S-T, and I think I have a token for
You
her.
did at one point. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'll take us to the Midnight Temple. So I'll drop her on the map of Agorian next to you over here. I'll zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
Lanky Halfling. Her name is Bist, so I can reveal that. Where's my reveal name? Yeah. Yeah. So Bist comes up to you and she pulls on your cloak. And she says, "I have a letter for you." And she pulls it out and hands it to you.
All right.
And you take it.
Thank you, Best. Wait,
Yeah.
how's the Paraduke?
She said, "Well, he wants you to have this," and she kind of lowers her eyes and doesn't look at you directly, and she basically waits for you to finish reading it. And the letter says, "Baron Abernus, notably."
Force can't read.
All right. So what do you say? So she hands you a note. What do you say? I forgot. I'm the best GM. So she hands you a
How
note.
many
You have a
times are
piece
you
of
gonna
paper-
do this?
Every time. Are you gonna ask the halfling to read it to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask the halfling to read it to me.
All right. Well, she takes it and she unfolds it, and it says, "Baron Abernus," and he addresses you notably as Baron. Lavasvia, in your last conversation, addressed you as Mr. Abernus. "Baron Abernus, I was not being facetious when I expressed interest in you. Whispers of you asking about your family have found their way to my ear. Find your way to Lazario's. There is much to discuss. Paraduke Sethic Thalgano."
All right, lead the way.
She nods, and she will take you to Lazarix, which is over here. It's an object. Go over here. So if I zoom out, boop boop, it's P on the map for whatever reason. P.
Not yet. Not L.
Not L. There's a lot. There's too much stuff in this city.
Oh,
Yeah. So she takes you over to Lazarix, and I will take you.
oh, we haven't found Enter yet.
There's a lot of letters over here. And they don't all go. It's not an ABC thing. It's a whole. It's a mess. It's a giant mess. Lazarix. So HE. That's a new map for you when it loads. And do I have music for this? I do. I do have music for Lazarix. All right. And let me see if there's anything to talk about.
Oh, it's Mike's favorite map.
Yeah, it's one of Mike's favorite maps. It's true.
I hate all of you. Yes, we can see that Vors is clearly a fly on the wall in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
His range of vision is the whole goddamn room. Because it's on the wall the other way.
All right, you.
He's like a demon on the wall.
Yeah. So you get to Lazarix, and it's a very upscale eating establishment. You do see some of the patrons there. Everybody appears to be either a wealthy noble or like a well-experienced adventurer. And they're all eating very expensive things. Again, you see the same razorback meat, which is 100 gold a plate. You see very rare ales and wines from all over the empire, and just in general, there's a lot of money in this building. This is a very fancy restaurant. And when you get there, Bist kind of just grabs your hand and just pulls you towards the back, and you actually end up in the kitchen. She pulls you back into the kitchen, and you see Sethic is just sitting at a table in the middle of the kitchen, and there are all of these halflings just milling around. There's like dozens of them milling around. Some of them are cooking, some of them are moving things. But he just has a table like just right in the middle of the entire thing, and he's got a plate of. Mhm.
Oh, like he owns the place, or like he's
Yes.
getting like the
Yeah,
view of the chef like experience.
No, he owns the place. He's not cooking or ordering anybody around. He's just sitting in the middle of the kitchen while all this stuff is going on around him. And he has a plate of very boring looking food, like boiled chicken.
Okay, where's the judge?
And next to him and next to him or behind him is his half orc bodyguard that you saw in the temple, who has like this ritual scarification and bones going through his nose and hair and all kinds of stuff. And Bist takes you in, and she ends up standing behind him, and he's just sitting at his table, and he's eating his chicken, and he's eating not even like a noble would. He's just smacking his lips like just eating a plate of boiled chicken.
You called Perdue?
He says, yes, sit, and he gestures for you to sit at a small little seat in front of the table.
All right.
Tell me of the offer by proxy. What does Lavasvia say? I haven't heard from you. It's been 3 days.
She seems quite smitten with the mayor's son.
Yeah, the mayor's son. Yeah, Niccolo Alazario, the
Yeah.
Lord Mayor's son. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't quite have that much of an interest in staying there, but until she marries the son, then like she's not going to move on, or like really have an interest in selling the inn.
He grunts and looks displeased with that. He says, I sort of expected that. And, I'll reveal his name too. She's been holding on to that place for years now. You can tell he's visibly frustrated. He's like, I just want it back. I want everything I had back. And she won't sell. She never sells. And he looks up and he says, so what about Nicola Azario?
Azario?
Yeah, what about him? She's smitten with him? I've heard they're planning to be wed, but what do you mean?
She actually. Oh no, she. I remember that conversation properly. Because I thought like she was basically there because she was bored.
Yes,
had nothing else to do.
so you do get that basically she was holding on to it because she's bored. But you also got the impression that she just didn't like this guy, this Felgano Sethic. She doesn't seem to like him. And when she kind of got the idea, like when you were offering the amount of money and stuff like that, she was kind of felt out that maybe you were working in alignment with him, and she's like, I'm not selling this place, especially if he's involved. But yeah, you kind of got the gist that she's doing this until she can see the world with her new husband, but also like she wants to see this guy twist in the wind.
Wait, did she get the? I don't remember her getting the impression that I was working with Sethic.
I'm not sure if he was talking to you about that or if he was talking to Iwin about that, because Iwin had a conversation with her as well.
Oh yeah, I don't think that was.
Yeah, so you can go with that for Vors then. So Vors doesn't have that impression of her then. Yeah, but Felgano Sethic does not seem surprised that your offer had failed, and he admits that he's been rebuked several times before. He was hoping that using a neutral agent like yourself that maybe something could happen, but he's not surprised that it failed.
Wasn't the... Alright. Well, she's basically just waiting to get married, so we can somehow encourage that process to happen faster.
He strokes his chin and thinks about it. Maybe. What is your opinion of her? What impression did you get of her? You've been staying at the Lawgiver's Rest for 3 days now?
Thereabouts, I think. This is Chris.
It's been 2 nights, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, basically since you saw me in the temple. Then she plays stupid, but she's actually quite astute.
He nods. She plays the game well, and he raises a. He has like a little. What was it, like a pipe? He raises his pipe and he says, "A Black Widow."
Indeed, she didn't seem very remorseful when her other husbands came up.
She nods. I mean, he nods and he says, "She always marries up, and they die very quickly usually." Can't wait to see what happens to Nicola Lazario. Did you hear that one of her lovers died in a bathtub? Drowned in a bathtub?
Oof. How the other ones go?
I forget off the top of my head, but in similar ways, like visible accidents. None of them were poisoned or anything like overt like that. They all died in weird accidents.
I'd rather drown than like I don't know, go through one of those other things, which is probably worse.
He says, "I don't know. I've been through some of the worst stuff you'd ever see." And he gestures to the plate of chicken in front of him, and then to the room around him. And he says, "You could probably smell all of the amazing things being created here, but my digestion isn't what it used to be before the stuff the Order of the Scourge put me through."
Yeah. I can't remember what was the story. Did he betray the queen, or?
The story was that he swore an oath when he became a Paraduke that he would never lie to the queen. And then something happened where he told the queen something she did not want to hear, and she requested that he be imprisoned by the Order of the Scourge. And then 2 years later, she requested that he be released. And there's no details on what he said or why she released him, but that's the story that Vors has heard.
Vors would basically be like... Well, did Vors get the sense that was like an invitation for him to ask about it, or is it like a soldier coming back from war and you just don't ask?
You get the impression that you probably shouldn't ask about it. That it seems like it's probably a very shameful thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, wait. All right. So he basically can't taste or see anything or smell anything.
His digestion is really crappy.
Oh, his digestion. Yeah.
So basically, they tortured him in such a way that he's visibly like again. Vors knew not like personally, but you knew of this Paraduke before you left Louisiana, and he was a much healthier looking person, like only 3 years ago. And supposedly he was in captivity for 2 years, and he looks run down as shit. So like they ran him through the paces during his torture, and he's got like liver spots. He just looks horrible. But yeah, so he continues eating his chicken, and he says, you know, I that strumpet, she infuriates me. So what do you think of her? What he gestures at you. What do you think of her?
I think she's bored, and she has nothing better to do than, play the games at court. And, like, she's just waiting for her next mark. I don't think I'm not sure there's much more to her than that.
He ponders that for a moment and then shakes his head and says, that might be just another game. Maybe she's playing you, too. She's clawed her away. Her family was nothing before her. They had all but lost everything they had. She clawed their way back up. I don't think she's just bored waiting for the next thing to happen. She's more clever than that.
Actually, that's true. I'd forgotten about all that. Chris had forgotten about all that.
She's doing something. She's planning something. She's thinking about something. I don't think she's just going to leave when her marriage is done. And his days are numbered anyway if he marries her.
I mean, so what's next for her then? Like, where do you see this going?
He shrugs and says, I don't know. She bought up a bunch of my old businesses in Bilgetown and the Dice District, places you just were, like the Low District, the seedier places. She bought up a bunch of my businesses. She bought up the Lawgiver's Rest. It seems like she's here for the long haul. I don't think she'd just leave all this.
Let's think about, like, why does she want to marry the mayor's son? Does he hold a title? Like, what about if his father's a merchant? Then what are his father's holdings?
He shakes his head and says that the Lord Mayor it's not a hereditary title, so he wouldn't inherit it. And even if he did, he's the third son of the mayor. He's nothing. He's I assume wealthy. I assume he's well taken care of, but it's not really marrying up for. I think she's an archcountess. For an archcountess.
The what? Can't remember what was Vor's impression of her, like when she was talking about her fiance. Did like she seem sincere in her affections for him?
Again, I had two conversations, so I'm trying to decipher them in my brain. I had one with you, one with Iwan. But I believe Vors thought she was in love. Either you or Iwan, I forget which. But you thought she was genuinely... We'll go with you, just because it's easier. You thought she was genuinely in love. And when she said things like, I want to get out of here, I want to travel the world, you believed her. But Sethic doesn't seem like doesn't believe that that's what she wants to do. She seems like... Again, he's made it clear that like she's clawed her family's way back from oblivion, and she's not just going to abandon that. It's not like she's just a Vaspian. She's the Vaspian.
Well, perhaps this whole wedding then is a distraction.
Distraction from what?
Who knows? But like the town's talking about it, and like she seems genuinely in love with him. She doesn't need to marry him she doesn't gain anything by marrying him if she already has that title. So if nothing else, then like it's a distraction from something else.
Maybe just influence over the Lord Mayor. Maybe the son has his father's ear.
Question for Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the mayor like still married, like with a wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Lord Mayor is basically the mayor of Agorian. Like the queen lives here, and this is her empire, but he oversees like all of the administrative functions of the actual city. So he's not a nobody.
What about the other two sons?
One of them is an administrator for the city, like a kind of like a clerk, and the other one is a wealthy merchant.
They're both married.
They are both married, yes.
Okay. I mean, who knows? Like, she may get herself into certain conversations by being engaged to the mayor's son.
She does have an ear for rumor and a mouth to match.
So, like, there are some definite... I mean, she wouldn't be going through with the wedding if it didn't help her. And it gains her nothing politically. So, like, she's doing it for... She's doing it for non-obvious reasons.
Okay. Yeah, he nods and says, "This is interesting. You are interesting, Mr. He said, corrects himself, Baron of Avernus."
You flatter me. No one's called me that in a while. First slash ever.
He says, "It's rightfully yours. Yes, I've heard things."
There you have. I wasn't under the impression that word had traveled this far. Region is not a very large place.
He nods and says, "You're not a large family from not a large place, but the Empire's records are thorough."
So, did you happen to hear about us like passively, or were you looking into us for some reason?
I was looking into you.
Oh, you mean just recently this week?
He nods.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. What have you found?
I found that your father died under mysterious circumstances, and your uncle married your mother. Raises an eyebrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, she loves the Bernices.
And he says that's not uncommon in Chelish families, but it's got to rub you the wrong way.
Oh, for sure.
He's stolen your birthright.
In a sense, he has. Yeah, my birthplace.
He says, "Yeah, I you seem to have all disappeared. What happened in Louisiana?"
Uh, well, does anyone, as the only other person who could have like any sort of claim to the seat, like he made it very clear that, or it was made very clear to me by my uncle that I was no longer welcome in that area.
And what have you been doing about it? What have you been thinking to do about it?
Uh, well, recently been working to gain a bit more of the Queen's favor, like improve my skills and really just trying to be patient. I have time, and if I don't, my days are numbered. Then there's no point anyway. But and being patient, taking my time, and trying to just get as much, or yeah, get information and see if there would be a good time to take back what is mine.
He nods and he
What?
smiles widely, and you realize he only has like 5 visible teeth. Seems like most of them have knocked out or rotten out a long time ago. And he says, "As you know, I have the Queen's ear. If there's anything you'd like her to hear, perhaps we
Oh.
can do business."
Though I'd appreciate seeing what's on the records right now. Just like he basically asked for copies. I plan on taking those to Nero for review. And
Certainly. He says, "I can get that for you easily," and he gestures towards Bist, and Bist nods as if she would handle it.
um, then, oh yeah, so he basically say like, "Oh, I mean, I know, I understand you're willing to do business, but like, you certainly don't need my money.
He nods.
But I do have other things to offer, I suppose."
He raises an eyebrow. "Oh? What else do you have to offer?"
Well, let's just say when the backing of your family quickly disappears and you're left strapped for cash, you can find ways to make a little money on the side.
He nods.
You could say I'm a tradesman,
Mm.
and I have certain physical skills. And you can certainly ask Biss that I wasn't very uncomfortable down in Billstown.
And he looks towards Biss, and Biss nods as if she was following you for a while before she talked to you. And he says, and what of your tongue? The Abernus' family has been known for their silver tongues. Do you have that as well?
All right. Have our conversations gone poorly, Paraduke?
He smirks again, revealing his 5 rotting teeth. And he says that maybe I do have a job for you then. He says, during my time with the Hell Knights, I would go weeks without meals. Now I spend my time surrounded by these smells I've told you about. The smells that were denied to me for so long, but I can't eat them. As I said before, my digestion is not what it was thanks to the Hell Knights' hospitality. He says, a good meal needs proper preparation. Meats need to be cured, grains ground, and vegetables chopped. I'm planning a new dish, one I intend to serve cold to Archcountess Vasvion. Like any good meal, it's important to lay the foundation. I need some agents for a good old-fashioned whispering campaign. And you know that to mean like basically like a propaganda kind of campaign.
Well, we can certainly do that. Or I can certainly coordinate that. I have a few friends who, when they believe the right things, are very, very suggestive and convincing.
Okay, he nods, and he goes on to basically tell you about the same party Lavasvia told you about. It's coming up on Saturday. It's Baroness, what's her name? Galintha.
Not the fun party.
Not the fun party. No, this is like the fun party is basically a rave they're throwing for all the Thrune loyalists. That's coming up next week. But this is basically like it's a more of a hoity-toity soiree with a much smaller guest list.
What about? There's another one too. There's a third party, like that was like the crazy, like gay friend of the queen.
That's the rave I'm talking about. That's next.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like
all right.
He's an elven noble in Cheliax, which is completely unheard of, and he has very outlandish hair and stuff like that. And yeah, he's the friend of the queen, but no one understands why the queen puts up with him. But he throws raves basically, and he's throwing a real awesome rave for all the Thrune loyalists. And that's like a drug orgy basically. It's been described of Horus as a drug orgy. His kind of party. But this is more of this is the hoity-toity Chelish noble thing with a much smaller guest list. And Sethek makes it clear to you that he will secure you an invite to this party, and if you said you had friends that are persuasive, so he could secure you several invites. But he basically wants you to spread rumors about Lady Vasvian during it.
Well, do you have any dirt on her whatsoever? Because like the best rumors have to have at least a kernel of truth in them.
He raises a finger and says, yes, of course. I was going to tell you the same thing. And he says, I don't care what stories you come up with as long as you can make them believable. And he says, certainly the fact that she's a Black Widow has some basis in truth. Everyone knows that, but I'm sure you can twist stories and add details that may or may not be true that people would believe. Maybe you've heard of designs she has on the Lord Mayor's son. Maybe you know some dark dealings she's done in Bilgetown.
I'll see what I can dig up.
He seems really happy about that. He's like, certainly. And again, so this is Thursday, so it's like a day and a half away now.
Yep.
But he says, if you can do this for me, if we can work together, if we can do this, then I assure you, next time I have the Queen's ear, you will be mentioned.
All right. Yeah, Horus basically spend the next day and a half, unless interrupted.
Okay.
Finding out anything he could about. Finding anything out about her.
Okay. And he looks you up and down, and you're dressed in fairly noble-ish stuff. Like your gear looks good. And he says, your friends you talked about, your persuasive ones, are they the ones with you at the temple?
They are. There's at most one that I would take, but he's out of town right now. So, if we're to do this on Saturday, I'm not convinced that they'll have returned.
He looks at you and says, if you're bringing any of those people, buy them some new outfits. They won't fit in at this party the way they were dressed.
Even if we dress them up, they won't fit in at that party.
He laughs and again reveals his rotting mouth of teeth. He laughs, and you can tell that Bist smirks, but the half-orc barbarian is just stoic and looks like he could murder you at any second. He's just a ball of rage waiting to be told to hit something. But yeah, so he laughs very loudly, and he says, I think I like you, Baron Avernus. I think I like you a lot.
All right, I'm going to study him and do a sense motive.
Sure. Hit me.
So +2 on that.
Yeah. You think he's sincere. You think that he does want you to do this. You think he does like you, and you think he's being honest in his business dealings with you.
Okay.
He wants you to do this. He hates Lavasvia, and he thinks that this will be an interesting thing. This will be a good arrangement for him. Anything else you want to say to Thelgano Sethek?
All right.
Okay.
Just, I mean, if it's ending, just thank him for meeting with me and the opportunity and all that.
Sure. And he gestures to Bist, and he says, get him whatever he wants. And as if, go out to the restaurant, get him a table, and you can eat whatever you want for free. And it's fancy stuff. You want more of that pig?
No, I don't want more of that pig. Yeah, just have something like middle of the menu.
Okay. Yeah. So even that is a fairly expensive dish. It's not like fancy 100 gold pig, but it's like everything on the menu. Like there's nothing cheap. You can't get cheap food here. So you still have like a very good meal. This is very obviously made for high end nobles. Like this is the kind of place you were looking at yesterday. And yeah, so you have a very good meal. And
Do I hear anything?
make another diplomacy check. Are you talking to people or asking for anything? Because he basically got you a table alone. Are you doing anything specific?
No, just like listening.
Go ahead, make a diplomacy check and a perception check. All right.
Should have been talking to people. Fuck.
Yeah. Correct. You hear a rumor that there is another party they talked about. I think it was called the Hellfire Ball. I think you might have heard about that one too. So that's not the rave. That's it's coming up after the rave, and that's like the big social event of the season, like of the year, I guess.
Okay, I guess I was confusing the two then. I
Yeah.
got another stack overflow.
Oh, fantastic! I'll have to look into that. I don't know why it's happening now and not before, but hopefully you can reconnect.
That's probably my crit on the diplomacy check.
Yeah, so you've heard basically a rumor that the Queen is probably going to be at the Hellfire Ball. You believe that because it's the social event of the season, and that the Queen has kind of been out of social events recently. Like she has not been attending them because of the Glorious Reclamation business is consuming all of her time. But people are talking about it as if like there's no way the Queen would miss the Hellfire Ball.
Bitch wants to party. That's why we've all been called back.
Yeah, so that's all you get out of the room. There's not a lot of interesting conversations. Most people are just there to kind of relax and enjoy good food.
Cool.
Okay. So go into my notes. All right,
Probably
that was
still-
Vors.
probably
So
still-
that was you on Wednesday and pretty much all of Thursday. Nothing else happens to you for the rest of Thursday until sundown, when Dern appears at Login.
Oh, hey, Dern. Well, am I there?
We'll say yeah. We'll say that basically you've kind of wrapped up. Maybe you're going there for dinner or after dinner, but Dern is there right before sundown.
Okay. What's up, Dern?
Darren is here. Well, I don't remember what I said exactly, but I think it was along the lines of Nero's been trapped. He's in a sepia snake sigil. I need some money. Can you keep transcribing? I'm on a quest.
All right, that's a lot to take in.
I know. Just listen, I don't have a lot of time. My handler's gonna kick my ass. I gotta go see him right now. If you can get to Agorian or Sonara, that would be really good. If you can't, that's okay.
Should I
I'll see you
bring anything-
tomorrow.
Should I bring anything back to Sonara?
Just teleports and money. They take a lot of money there. They use a lot of money. Let me tell you.
All right.
Also, I remember. Okay, so he's a case. Can you sell all this shit? I need some money. And he just throws like a bunch of loot on the table.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we hand waved that, but you basically, I forgot how much it was. Was it 1,000 gold or 2,000 gold? You fronted him some money for the loot that was worth more than that.
It was 2,000 gold. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wait,
when he
what?
says they spent a lot of money in Sonara, that's true. Like they bought like 5,000 gold worth of scrolls or some shit.
There was one
I'm-
session where literally almost the entire 3 hours was just going back and forth to the scroll shop with each unsuccessful attempt to get Nero out.
I was also
Like,
donating
guys
money.
again,
to
like, yep, another 1,000 gold, yep.
It was pretty. Yeah, and you donated money to the Iomedean Church to try to get them to undo Nero.
So he takes your money, he runs, and he says, "I'll be back tomorrow." I think. And he runs out.
And you end up back later that night. So you go out and you do your thing, and unbeknownst to Vors, his thing is also to investigate the Bellflower Network.
Yeah, I guess I didn't mention it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known at the time. The handler tells you when you go out. So then let's just say you get back later that night, and
Right.
you guys can talk at the bar if you want.
So he's like, "Hey, I'm back, man. That was tough."
So again, I don't think you actually found the barrister yet. On this night, you talked to your handler, and he told you where to look at the clerk's cloister. But it was nighttime already, and you
It was
waited
too
outside.
late.
You didn't see anybody going in and out of the cloister that matched the description. So the stuff you actually do when you do the following, that's tomorrow.
Okay. He says, so he comes in, he says, "It's been a long day." He says, well, what have you been up to, Boris?
Been meandering around, been trying to dig up some information. Just met with Paraduke.
Oh, okay. And he just stares at you because he doesn't even know what Paraduke means. It's like, okay, cool.
Wait, where are we? Are we in the inn?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
If that's the case, then Forrest would not have said that. He just met with Paraduke.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, I've kind of been meandering too. My handler has me looking for some barrister or something. Isn't Nero a barrister or a solicitor?
His title is right. It's Nero. I actually have a title.
He's not an official lawman in the Empire. His official title is what's that Hell Knight thing? Come on.
Hell Knight Signifier.
Signifier, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But he's not an official lawyer, that's your question.
Bumpkin Duke.
So he says, yeah, I'm looking for a barrister, I guess.
Wait, a barrister or the barrister?
I think it's the barrister. Apparently it's person with one hand. The barrister.
And I mean, like, you could, like, I don't know. You could go talk to him. Probably, you'd have an easier time finding him than I would. Like, you're someone that they want to, like, free and help. So
He says,
presumably.
wait a minute, you know about this?
What do you mean? Of course, I know about this.
He says, how do you know about this? Dude, what do you even see? And he just goes like this.
Vor's gonna reach out and grab his wrist. No, it's more that I hear things, not that I see things.
So who has you looking for the barrister?
Oh, no one had me looking for the barrister per se, as much as the bellflowers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I was told was look for the barrister. I can't remember if they even told me about the bellflowers. I don't even think so, Joe. I don't think my handler told me.
Yeah, he would have said the Bellflower Network is sprouting here.
Okay.
Yeah, he said like the blue bellflowers are sprouting amongst the black roses of Agorian.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, they have me looking for this barrister because these bellflowers are pissing them off. Honestly, I don't give a crap, but I have to do it because if I don't, I get killed. So,
Yeah, let's do that, buddy. Let's do that, little buddy.
it's okay. Well, I'm going back there tomorrow. I'm going to learn more. You know, if you're busy during the day, I can always go by myself, and then I can come back and find you in the afternoon, and maybe we can go crack this case.
All right. Yeah, I'll find you later tonight. Like, basically, like, Vor's will blow him off for the day because Darren's gonna crap his style. There's a bit too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was also gonna say like he likes to work solo. So
Okay.
Darren?
during
Yeah,
on these type of things. Yeah.
that's convenient.
Yes, it
Forrest
is.
doesn't want to work with Darren right now.
Also, you weren't in the part where I found her, so it would be weird if you came.
Yeah, it would be weird to.
All right.
It
You
would
did a
be-
great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that takes Dern and Vors. Vors is now up to Friday night, right? Or Thursday night, right? And then
Thursday night.
yeah, and then Friday is when Dern goes out. Friday during the day, Dern goes out and stalks the barrister. So Dern's basically done. Dern does up to sundown on Friday, and the Nero Bob duo does up to the night of Friday. That's what the conversations they were having at the beginning of this session was Friday night. So Vors needs to still catch up to Friday. So you have Friday. What would you be doing? So you know Dern's going out looking for the barrister. What is Vors doing on Friday? In general,
Maybe trying to like dig up any like trash on what's her face? Vernus. What's her name?
Abernus, the fan.
Ned
Ned
Vassi?
Rodzod.
No, not that. The I'm blanking on her name. We're
Lavasvia?
staying at her. Yeah, that one.
Okay, dig up trash on Lavasvia and prep for the party.
Party.
Okay. Okay.
He'd be like more trying to like dig for that stuff while passively like listening for news about his family.
Okay. All right. So we will do the digging up trash between sessions to catch you up. But regarding the passively listening for news about his family, while you're moving around, it comes into your head that you basically, you know that you know that your cousins were registered as Thrune agents and were probably assigned quarters. So you believe that if you went to the Midnight Temple, you could probably pay a scribe or bribe somebody to figure out where they were assigned quarters, if you wanted to do that.
I was trying to keep a lower profile than that.
Okay. So you're just more passively listening. So then make another diplomacy check, and we'll say that you're doing your looking for specific people thing, your tracking thing.
Where is my token?
You're here.
Oh, alright. So diplomacy
Yep.
and perception.
All right. Yeah, you did very well there. So you spend most of the day doing that. We'll talk about that again. We'll do the dig up trash on Lavasvia offline, but you do bump into Rod and Todd.
Oh, nice.
While you're
You know who else I bumped into?
Who?
Good old Stack Overflow.
These
I
rolls.
saw that
killing you.
actually. As you clicked your tile, I saw Stack Overflow.
Well, that's his character name now, or his player name. So like, if he drags it, it would have said that.
That is different than a memory overrun.
Yeah.
And here we are, full circle.
Yeah. It's pretty fantastic. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe the changes I made to the macros are affecting you, but I don't know why they wouldn't affect everybody else.
We will talk about that.
I'm sure we will.
The buttons are all different too.
Different in what way?
Not like little shitty, but like I have a couple that are broken. And server.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Send me a screenshot if you can, because I'm curious what I did. I gotta fix all this. This is a huge mess.
I got my buttons now, though.
But you bump into your cousins. We'll talk about that next session, because I want to get to Iwin before the session's over, because it's been sitting there for 2.5 hours.
Yes.
But you bump into Rod and Todd Burness, and they have 2 halflings with them. The first you do not know. The second is Arden.
Motherfucker.
And we'll pick up with that next week.
Oh, it's cliffhangers.
All right. Iwin, are you there, Jeffrey? You might not.
Yep, I'm still here.
Oh, hi. All right. So we're actually going to jump ahead a little bit because basically the Nero contingent has all but decided to wait until tomorrow to do the raid, which means they're going to be raiding at Saturday night. Okay, so the Lantern Archon is coming to you. It's going to go to Vors first, but it's complicated. We're running multiple timelines here. It's happening in Vors' future, but it's happening in your presence. So the Lantern Archon goes to Vors, comes back, it talks to Nero. That doesn't really matter, though. And then it comes to you, Iwin. So Nero's plan works. So Nero instructs the Lantern Archon to teleport into the room that is warded, now that you guys know. and the Lantern Archon appears in the room. And at the time that the Lantern Archon appears, the Guardian is not present. And Iwin is rolling dice. Iwin is awake. So you are awake, and you're in this. Again, it's pitch black because whenever the angel's not here, there's no natural light in here. You're just trapped in this pit, and there's no light at all. There's some pit music. But when this Archon pops in, and just like the angel, he is like a being of pure light. So as he pops in, the whole thing just becomes light. Like the entire tunnel becomes light. And there is a Lantern Archon in the hole with you. And it asks you if you are Iwin.
Lantern Archons can speak?
I hope so. Yes, they can speak.
Interesting. Okay. So Iwin looks a little confused because she's assuming that this Lantern Archon is like from the angel contingent that she's trapped by, and she was like, yeah, I think you all know that, right?
And he speaks to you matter-of-factly in a completely like logical manner. He says, "I do not know that." Yes, you are Iwin?
Yes, I'm Iwin.
And you see him. He kind of just looks like a glowing orb of light. So he's not very. You don't tell that he's like looking at you, but you watch him pause, and he procures something from whatever orifice Lantern Archon store things in. I hadn't thought this through with his actual interaction with him. And he hands a note floats out of him towards you. Yeah, I really hadn't thought that through. but he provides you a note, and the note was written by Nero, and the note reads, "I apologize that this has happened. We are in the process of securing your release. If you are allowed, please report your location so that we can assign a barrister to come for you. Please report your condition and any mistreatment so that it can be noted. Please note to your jailer that you will be filing for release under obscure law honored by Iamade about wartime and dismissal and of acts committed as part of a wartime response. Please request your release to exit the war theater. Based on previous dealings with the so-called Glorious Reclamation rebels, this will fall on deaf ears as they have no real taste for the law, theft and advancement of cause, wartime looting. But illegal precedents should be reported so that lawful procedure has been followed in the case of further legal action. Yours, Mouse," which is a nickname for Nero that you know.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I meant to add this to the note and totally forgot, and it didn't make it over from the copy.
Okay.
The top of the note should read, "Iwin, we're coming to get you. Please rip this part off and destroy."
Okay.
So I guess when Iwin first starts reading it, she's pretty much overcome with emotion because at this point, like, she pretty much assumed that if they hadn't already come for her, it wasn't going to happen. And then she continues reading down, and especially when it gets to the part where Nero is sort of dismissive and is like, this is going to fall on deaf ears. Basically, like, they're giant phonies anyway. She starts chuckling a bit. Like, it's the first time that she's actually been somewhat happy in this entire week. She's just been rotting away in the pit. So she'll basically do what it says, although she doesn't know where she is. So, like, the whole report where you are thing. I mean, does she get the impression that he wants her to write a note back to him, or like, does she feel like she can? I guess she'll ask the Lantern Archon, like, are you going back to them? Am I conveying a message through you?
He says, "Yes, I'm going back."
Okay. Well, I don't know where I am. So you can just tell him, like, I'm in this pit. She'll convey what she's seen so far, basically, like, whatever that giant angel guardian is that's been here. That's like the only guy I've seen so far. I, like, can't use any of my magic. she'll explain that basically she had this this magic coin that she threw all the way up and it never lit. So like, I can't use magic. It doesn't seem like anywhere around here will allow for the use of magic. So tell him that. And then she'll basically just recap what she's told the groundwork that she's tried to lay with the angel so far. It seems like somebody ratted us out well, she won't say it like that. She'll say somebody accused us of killing the angel. They seem pretty upset about that. I made sure to help them understand that they don't know that happened for sure. And like, I keep demanding that they release me. She will, however, leave out the offer that she gave them. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I should have actually prepared for this. I knew this note was coming.
Well, I should have had Nero prepare the note a week ago. It's really my fault. But go on.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that you would want to say. In terms of the treatment, like, I'm stuck here. It's, you and I both know it's bullshit, but they have been feeding me. Like, I'm still in good health. I've been trying to keep my mind right and not go crazy in this pit. Thanks for being clever and figuring out how to get here.
Okay. He doesn't nod or anything because he's a Lantern Archon, but he basically gestures in a way that asks, like, "Are you done? Is that the message?"
She'll kind of look up and think. This is also Jeff thinking, because like, this is my one opportunity. I guess she'll also just say, I'm glad you guys are okay. I'm sorry. I really blew it on this one, and it's rare that this happens, but I feel like an idiot.
Okay, the Lantern Archon bobs in place, something akin to a nod, and begins flying away. Unless you have anything else to say, begins flying straight up out of the pit.
Nope, that's it.
All right. It flies away, and you watch as the light that it's emitting kind of implies that it's flying around in circles around the pit, as if trying to find a way out.
Find a way out?
Yeah. Eventually it does, and the light disappears, and you're back in pitch black. And that will make it back to you, Nero, so I hope you were paying attention.
Oh.
He does make it back to you, but it is hours later. It is basically like the middle of the night while you're staying with Wami's buddies.
I was paying attention. Excellent.
Okay, yeah, so you know all of those things Iwan just said to you. But it takes hours, and he reports back to you all of that information that Iwan gave you. He says that this pit that she's in is in some sort of cave complex in the mountains, and he says he flew very, very, very high, and that he's not entirely sure where he was. Like, he's not, he's not trained in survival. He's not a good like geographer or anything like that. He just says it was a very long mountain range that primarily ran north to south, and that fits in with what you know somewhere in the Adospel Mountains, but it doesn't really give you a good feeling about where you'd be able to teleport to specifically.
So if I gave him a map, he wouldn't be able to tell me around where he was.
It depends how detailed the map was. He knows what he saw, but he has no idea what that means in terms of geography.
Okay.
He basically just flew up and tried to get a good view. He didn't follow rivers to find a city or anything like that. But if you gave him a detailed map, maybe.
Okay. So Nero will try to draw this best he can off of his brain hold, but
Okay. So we can do that offline.
oops.
But again, so you basically decided that you're going to be hanging out in Sonara with Wami's gang until Saturday night when you're going to do the prison break. And on Saturday morning, something else happens to Iwan. Saturday morning, back to the pit. Your buddy, the Angel, comes out, the Guardian. So the room lights up again, Iwan. From the top this time. And he sticks his head over the edge again. And he's got these pupilless eyes, and again, he's kind of like oddly alien in everything he does. And he looks over, and actually, yes, let's make a check. Good point. Roll dice. Okay, you are asleep when this happens, so forget everything I just said. And then make a perception check. Almost forgot. Beer almost made me forget all this. Okay, you have a minus 20 from being asleep.
Wine almost made you forget that.
The wine, yeah, let's blame the wine.
Yeah, blame the wine.
So when you wake up, Iwan, you are being touched by the Angel. The Angel puts its hand on your shoulder, and that's what wakes you up. It is down at the bottom of the pit with you.
Okay, so it's like, because this thing's colossal, right? It's like bending over and touching me right now?
Yes. Let me see how tall they actually are, but they are gigantic, yeah. 9 feet tall and 500 pounds.
Okay, so that's not that big, actually.
Yeah, it's not huge. I mean, it is big on the map, though. I don't know why it's cool. Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's large. It's like oversized. So it kneels down, and it's placing its hand on your shoulder and gently like shaking you awake.
Okay. So I will wake up and kind of like shoot back a little bit, like in surprise, like, oh my gosh, and then basically collect herself and say, last we spoke, I made you an offer. I think it was a really good one. Have you, are you here to talk about that?
He nods, and he says,
It is decided. Your offer has been judged to be sincere and is accepted. Go, find your Nero. Return the tomes you have stolen. Decipher them in conjunction with our scholars in Sonara. Swear this, and you shall be released.
So she'll say, like, thanks a lot for considering it. I want to do everything I can. I feel like I can guarantee every part of that except bringing you back the tomes. Like, I'm going to be doing this against the wishes of my party, and but I can bring you the information that you need from them. For sure. Maybe I can bring you the tomes too. I just can't guarantee. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I know I can get them.
he looks. Again, he doesn't really betray any emotion in his face. You just see him pondering it for a moment before he says,
That is not negotiable. The text must be returned.
Where do I bring them to?
To where you have taken them from.
You just want me to bring them and put them back inside the barracks?
Return them to those you stole from. They will be waiting.
And how do I know that they're not going to do me harm when I go there? I trust you, but we we broke in. Like, I can't imagine that they're particularly happy with us right now. I'm going to just waltz in, hand them the books, and they're going to just let me go.
You will study them with them. You will study them there.
I feel like I'm going to need the rest of my party, particularly Nero, to help me decipher these books. I'm pretty good, but you really want both of our minds working on this. If I bring you the books and the information, like, do I have your word, I guess, that that they'll let me go once I give them those things?
he pauses again, thinking everything over. And finally says,
Yes, if you can guarantee the information, if you can decipher the tomes and return them to us, we will let you go.
Okay, then you got yourself a deal.
all right.
So,
yeah.
just so then, Iwan will kind of slip into like, let's iron out the details of this. You know, I can bring it back. Like, who should I report to? What information do you need me to like provide? Basically, like what you know, what do you? I'll decipher them, but like they're long tomes. Is there something specific you guys are looking for?
He doesn't exactly have that information, so he does tell you to report to. I don't have that offhand. I'll pick a note to add that. But he will tell you who to report to. Basically, he wants you to return the tomes to the barracks. And there were scholars, there were scribes that were working on these that were not making a whole lot of progress. So yeah, he basically wants you to give them back to those people and to help them decipher them, however you can.
Okay, but he doesn't know what they're looking for.
He has an inkling, but he's not in a position to describe that to you now. Specifically, the arcane stuff he's looking for.
So I guess she'll say, my offer sincere. I'm still happy to do that. But I mean, you know, those tomes are super dense, and like I'm confident that we can decipher the whole thing. But again, if I don't know what I'm looking for, yeah, like I feel like I need to know generally what you guys need.
He pauses for a long moment, and then eventually says,
Certainly you saw the marks of Visperthul on the devils. You know what he was doing?
What Fex was doing?
No, Visperthul.
Oh, what Visperthul was doing? Yeah, I think generally I know what he was doing. Yeah?
The tomes and notes explain how.
Okay, that's good enough. I can get that information.
he nods, and that's pretty much all he can provide for you. And
So
then-
just
good.
so this is Jeff now, just to be sure I'm clear because I'm a little bit confused. They want to know how to control the gate.
They want to
Like
know
Visperthul was like keeping it open and letting things flow through.
No,
You want to control the devils.
Visperthul took devils coming through the gate and somehow altered them to be loyal to him only. So
Right.
he-
So they want to like keep the gate open and control devils that are coming through. These angels want to do that.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay. Either way, this is still like gold for Iwan. This is yeah. Like little do they know what she has in mind for all of this.
Yes, but you believe that these angels think that with this knowledge in these tomes, they could pull devils through the gate and make them serve someone or something that serves them. That they could use
Right.
these devils to defeat Cheliax.
Right. But that they are willing to like go to a hellish gate and control devils to do that.
Correct.
That is a very interesting revelation. I just want to make sure that I understood that correctly.
Yes,
But
a
that is
glorious
very-
revelation, yes.
Yes.
All right. It's 11:52, so we got like 8 minutes left. I'm pretty much good. Anybody else want to do or say anything? We got some time?
I guess I'm just curious, like when they say I can go, what does that
Oh, right.
entail? Like,
Yeah,
are they-
so
they're just, like,
he
bringing me-
basically he gestures as if he would pick you up, and he's gonna fly you out. There's no he basically picks you up if you let him, flies you up, and you go out the same way the Lancer Archon went. There's like a hole in the wall. He takes you through a cave network, and after a while, he puts you down and says you're free to leave. And your magic works once you're there, once you're far enough into the cave network.
in the cave itself still.
Yes, after a while, he puts you down somewhere inside the cave. He tells you that your magic will work. You're free to leave.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just debating like if Iwan wants to take a few minutes to try to figure out where she was in case she ends up back there at some point.
Okay.
But,
Sure.
Um,
He says you're free to go, and he basically just waits for you to leave. So you're going to try to walk out of the cave.
am I by the quote unquote exit? Like, is there?
No. It's a fairly deep cave. You would take some time to figure your way out. But
Right. So
yeah.
that no. So then no. She would just. I guess I need to decide where I would actually teleport.
Yes, you have a clear destination in mind, and tell me where that is, because you can still fail. You can end up some weird place.
Because the note that Nero sent said nothing about where they are, did it? Right? It didn't. Did it have your guys' location? I forget.
I don't think it did. I think it said that they were coming for you, and I don't think Nero was assuming that you were able to get your way out, talk your way out of this.
Okay. So then, actually, maybe Iwan would do ascending first to figure out where you guys actually are, and then that would be the smart thing to do.
Yep, you got 25 words back and forth, and if you just want to hand wave it and say that you know where they are, that's pretty much doable.
But okay, and they're like in the low district getting ready to do this assault.
Correct.
But she would definitely contact Nero. Nero's the one that she would do the sending with.
Sure. So this would be Saturday morning. So Nero, you've slept with your buddies, your Wami Tingles buddies. The Archon came back and gave you all that information, and then that morning, Iwan sends you a message basically telling you she's out. Where are you?
Nero names the inn, or names the place, and where it's near. So, Devil's Square, southeast end of Low District.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd say, meet at some place that's familiar. Agreed to help Wami with jailbreak. Could use support.
So she's very surprised to hear the name Wami again. I think she's even more surprised to hear that there's like collaborations with Wami. But she's she's also just like extremely relieved to hear Nero's voice in her head. So she's not going to argue with that, and just wherever he says that they should meet, she'll just try to teleport there.
Okay. And you basically said Sonara. You're going to show up in Sonara, Nero, is where you told her to go?
I bet Vor's capital.
Okay. So then it's up to you, Iwan. Are you going to go to Agorian to try to get Vors, or are you going to Sonara to hook up with Nero?
Did Nero said something about them, the other people being in the capital?
Yeah, he would have had the words to say that, yeah.
Okay. Well, but all right. Yeah, I think Iwan would still go to Nero because she would assume that they're stranded in Sonara.
Fair enough. Okay.
Stranded for day. Yeah.
So we'll pick up at that. So Nero, when you go to do your raid tomorrow, before your raid happens, Iwan shows up, which should make your raid much easier if you theoretically. And so that's you guys are all caught up now on Saturday morning. Dern, you didn't do a whole lot. I'm sorry. We'll get you next time. But you have stuff that happens. And Vors has most of Friday and Saturday morning. So we'll get you all caught up next session. We'll be good.
Is this why, like, DMs make it incredibly painful to split the party so that their work doesn't multiply?
It's one of the many reasons. It's really bad to have somebody sit for like 2.5 hours. But hopefully Jeff enjoyed things that were going on with other people.
I definitely did, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are an entertaining
Are we not going to talk about that God voice at all?
Yeah, what the hell was that, bro? That was
yeah.
Well, you know, I didn't use it yet because I wanted to kind of move through the thing fast, but I also have where is it?
Do you have like a little imp voice? Because like you already had that down.
I have, yeah. Well, I have. It's even easier for me to do.
An Azamag voice now. What would you have me do, Master?
That's so good.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of voices now. I was looking into voice mod software, and there was one that was having a Black Friday sale, so I got a decent
Oh,
one for like 10
Good
bucks.
for you, man.
Nice. Wait, don't you like write software for telephones?
Yeah, but not like that. I don't do media.
Yeah, but he doesn't know the difference between a Stack Overflow.
Is it all the same?
It's true. I don't do that. I don't have to worry about that. The JVM
Yeah,
cleans up my
I
garbage.
use Java. The virtual machine is a garbage collection.
Yeah, I don't deal with memory. I don't worship Malik. I don't need that.
I do worship Malik.
I know, and that's why you're a software engineer, and you'll never get a job as a hardware engineer again.
God.
He would if he moved to Mississippi.
If I moved to Mississippi, I
Yeah.
could do anything I wanted.
Kinda.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Anything else you want? That was all in the books. Anything else you want to have? In the books?
We got to do morals and MVPs on the
Yeah, good
on the
job.
recording.
This guy plays D&D. So what do you got for
I play.
morals?
Oh, not.
Well, we have some morals in here, for sure.
Okay, let's go ahead and read some of them off.
All right, we had. I said, "Let us fuck shit up." That is probably not the one. Someone said I would probably head down to the warehouse labeled Warehouse of Halflings. Someone also said she hands you a note and waits for you to read it. She looks down, avoiding eye contact with you. Vors can't read, Joe.
That's true. It's funny because it's true.
I said all these people look like paint blobs regarding your favorite Bob map.
Yes.
And also Stack Overflow is not the same as Buffer Overflow.
True statement.
I think Forrest can't read Joe.
I like Vors can't read Joe. Like out of context, Vors can't read Joe.
Just that part of it.
It's probably it.
And maybe I'll remember it now that it's the moral. So yeah, there you go. I accept that. Okay, so MVPs. Anybody have nominations? Who did good?
I like Jeff today.
Yeah. You like
Yeah.
No, you guys don't like me.
Okay, fine. I
You
fucking
don't,
hate
you don't
Jeff.
like me.
I would get take any more credit.
I'd like to selfishly nominate Nero for sending a Lantern Archon that was very clever, and almost was the reason that I was able to get out.
I was hoping to thug that angel, but
I mean,
There's still maybe an opportunity for that.
Yeah, he's gonna betray you for sure.
Wait, how many hit dice does it have? And can you control a 9 foot tall, 500 pound angel?
Isn't he like level
We got-
20 or something, Joe?
He's not the most powerful angel, but he's like the second most powerful angel in the game.
Oh shit, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. You guys would have a good shot at him because you're all horrible monsters. He'd give you a run for your money for sure. But taking on individuals, like smaller, like not the whole party, I think he'd wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, but he'd also not fight us by himself. Like, how could we get him set up like that too, right?
I mean, you're pretty good at talking angels into killing themselves. Like the time that Bob was like, "Hey, we're looking for the grave of Tony, Italian guy," and then you murdered an angel. Then you just murdered an angel. He didn't even attack you at all. He took no offensive action against you, and you murdered him. And then you blamed it on Wami Tingles.
Now you're working with one.
Tony Italian guy is a good friend.
He's a good friend of my family. I want to find his
These are
grave.
real things.
All right. So is
I
Nero?
I
Who else
forgot
did
about
you
Tony Italian guy.
How could you
I,
forget
I
the Tony
like. I
Italian guy?
nominate. I
I also
like having
think
Chris
all-
back. That was fun.
All the schmoozing Nero did with Wami to like get that going and get this raid set up that we're gonna do.
We're going from one side quest to another.
Right, but at least now more of you are together. And
Yeah, but this one's just gonna be a quick in and out.
Yeah, it's like the last one.
That's what we always say, and then it turns into a fucking
certainly the
2-year
Glorious
campaign.
Reclamation Jail won't have weird teleport traps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're
I
almost
just
all
hand them
together.
back
here.
there with the angel, like, so yeah.
You show up
But
at the
really,
same
this time
time.
I'll get the books.
God damn it.
We're crashing the whole
Alright, so-
party with a riot. Too. I really like that. That was funny. Oh, I've got people. They're useful. Yeah, it's not going to matter if you change their clothes. They're not going to fit in.
That was a good one. All right, slash GM me the things, or just say it out loud if you don't care.
Jeff.
That's why would you? That's like assigning a hero point to a minion right now. Like
I'm
it's
gonna
actually
pick-
that like giving it to Iwan right now is worse than assigning it to a minion.
Yeah, unless he needs to like roll a bunch of fucking dice to get out of the thing.
Jeff,
He's
did
got
you-
3
did-
hero
wait, are
points.
you
Max.
drunk
He
enough
has-
that you
he has
didn't realize?
3. Yeah, I am drunk. Yeah.
All right, so you are drunk.
Yeah, I am drunk. What?
You am drunk, you sir.
Like, he was just hinting very strongly that we should
Or-
not.
I nominate worse.
All right, fine. I will also take Vors then, since apparently Jeff has 3 fucking hero points.
Okay, that's not everybody, right? I need somebody else.
I'm messaging you.
Okay.
What's the point?
And the winner is Vors, I guess.
I mean, if it was a tiebreaker, or if there needed to be a tiebreaker, I would have just said fours. But
We're out here.
Yeah. Yeah, the answer is Vors, I guess. Alright. So Vors, take your hero point.
got
Thank you
it.
everybody for playing.
Nobody give me hero points next time.
You don't
No matter how good I
next time.
schmoozed.
Bob could seriously use some hero points next time.
There's a lot of metagaming here in the hero point game.
If we're just
Next chapter I might
yeah.
switch
Well,
up how
wait.
hero points
Wait,
work.
wait,
We're gonna be busting some
Joe.
skulls, so
Joe, Nas has access to like all of our sheets.
accurate.
We can either talk about it openly, or we can,
or just
do you
get
want-
Nas to
do you want-
orchestrate it.
Just
is-
let Nas
like, I really-
nominate.
Listen, boys, I just want to go on record and say that Robert the Zoob has 0 hero points.
Maybe you should do something
Oh.
heroic instead of standing by Nero and letting him talk.
Listen, it's hard to kill things when everyone's a goddamn friend next to this
You
asshole.
could have hit Wami really hard in the face. Right?
I could have done a lot of things, but Michael Lasky, cannot kill Wami.
It's true. You can't kill your idols. You can't do it.
You can't get it all.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks for playing, everybody.
too.